What is going on, people? What is going on? We are
Yes,
back again with another episode of the Four Horsemen of Truth.
there
We
it
have
is.
we have an amazing guest today. This is TikTok second most banned. Mr. Cramersez is
It's
in the
not that
house.
hard these days. It actually isn't that hard to take that moniker at this point.
And we are glad to have him. Thank you to Bro Kitch for procuring him. He is now an official member of the guest list of we the Horsemen. So I want to thank you for being here, Mr. Cramer. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for asking me.
Yeah, yeah. First things first, I want people who don't know this man. If you don't know him, it will be an honor for you to know him because he is a wealth of knowledge. But not just that, he don't give a darn. He worse than me. If he goes in on you,
That Gen X shit.
if he
It's that
goes in
Gen
on you,
X shit.
it's
That's
not
right.
gonna be pretty.
We're a
It's not
different
gonna be
breed,
pretty.
bitches.
Yes, right.
That different breed. Fucking right.
Yep.
So I'm
Cramer
gonna let
said
him
it best.
introduce himself. I'm gonna let him
Right.
introduce himself and tell you all that he needs to tell you about himself for about I don't know a few minutes, and then we'll get into
Okay.
the show.
Well, for those that don't know, I came from broadcast. I've been doing broadcasting for the last 40 years. I started my first job at 16 years old. So I've been doing radio and TV, media, and so on for the last 40 years. And the TikTok thing for me was kind of a fluke. I had no social media presence at all. We helped companies develop those, those brands and so on, but had never done it myself. And I thought it was kind of a waste of time. And I didn't have anything to say. I think that was the most important thing. I didn't have anything to say. I wasn't involved in any conversation. But in the process of owning the ad agency, having been in radio and TV for so long, we worked with a group out of Indiana called Market Red. Now they've since disbanded, but they handled all of the advertising and marketing for conservatives, in particular, Republicans in the House and the Senate in Indiana, the Indiana House, Indiana Senate. And then they did some federal races. And so that's how I got involved in politics. That happened about 12 years ago. And in the process of that, our group became known as the group that does, when you need help with negative campaigns, negative ads, we're the ones that do it. For whatever reason, that's my forte. I can go in and look at a conversation and say, okay, this is how you tear it apart. This is how you make fun of them. This is how you use their words against them. And so that's what I've done for the last 12 years in politics. So about a year ago, a buddy of mine sent me a stupid dog video on TikTok and showed me, and I looked at it. It was a funny video. I can't remember what the dog did, but long story short, that got me looking at TikTok at what it did. And so I said, well, I'll make a video. And the first two videos that I made were with my granddaughters, and we were using the filters and stuff to make funny faces. And the third video that I made was it was my first viral video. So my first real video that I published to TikTok went viral. And that was the one where I talked about the branding of products that have people of color on the face.
I remember that one. Yeah.
And what was amazing about it to me was that when I told people what was going on, I was the bad guy. Now, everybody in advertising and marketing knew what was going on. The reason that they did that, the reason that all those brands went woke all of a sudden, is because millennials and Gen X, or Gen Z rather, don't buy their products. They just don't. So it was a way of brand awareness, to bring awareness to their brand. I mean, no 25 or 26-year-old is going out and getting Uncle Ben's rice. They're just not, right? They may get avocado toast, but they're not going to go out and get Aunt Jemima's. And so this was this way of bringing these products to the forefront for this group. It failed miserably, by the way. But that's how it kind of started. And so when that first video took off, I didn't know the rules of TikTok at that point. I thought we had freedom of speech in this country. So I came on and in a very short period found out, boop, you're done, right? You don't have free speech. And so then that pissed me off. And now I've got a cause, and now I do have something to say. And the power of what we do with my group is that it's like, you'll notice the content that I create. I don't go after anyone, typically. There's only one person I've ever gone after, and that was Rexrist. And there was a reason. Well, Modern Warrior I fucked with. I didn't go after it. Rexrist I went after. We knew what was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So when I think blew up is when we showed that you can be strategic in what you do instead of just getting on here and ranting and railing. And that's what a lot of people do. They just get on and bitch and moan. That's fine, but at some point that becomes it's nothing different than what the left does. What we have to do is solve the problem. And so we decided we're going to be part of the problem solving as well. So with the Rexorus deal, for example, what we did is we knew how they would react. We knew that they would dox us. We knew exactly what they would do. So I went on and hit her. And then I came on with another video that said, and before you try to dox me, here's all my information. Right. So for those of those you don't know, right, my corporate site got hacked. The Cramersez website got hacked. But we knew that was going to happen. So we had already identified that as a tack that they were going to use and informed our ISP, our internet service provider, that they needed to track all the data that came in on these accounts. And then we turned that over to the FBI. Well, it sounds like more than it is, right? In that the FBI didn't have any interest whatsoever. Once we got past it, they didn't have any interest. Where they had interest in the case is when they found out through their investigation that Rexorus, or Savannah's sister, worked for Walgreens and was taking that information she had access to through the Walgreens prescription system and utilizing it to dox people. That they had a lot of interest in. So
that's federal crime.
Yeah, right. And so that was, now, again, I've said it time and time again. You don't know who the fuck I am, right? Nobody knows who I am.
Right.
And so the games that I play at, when I went to go talk to the FBI, I didn't have to call somebody. I went down to the end of my street because at the end of my street was the Indiana director for the FBI. He lived at the end of my block. So I just went over and I got something you might be interested in. That's the game we have to start playing. And that was my introduction into TikTok and the social media. And once we realized in particular the power that TikTok has, and that's why we'll always have a presence there. And I tell everyone they should always have a presence there. Even if they know it's going to get burned down, is that our message, and the five of us are a great example of creators that have hit we've hit a nerve with Americans, well, not just Americans, right? If you go into a VPN and you say, for example, you're out of Great Britain, it's amazing to look at the numbers that you get and how you hit. I ended up taking my VPN and putting it in African nations. I put it in India. I put it in Pakistan. It's amazing the spread that you get and the views that you get from these different locales, and the growth of an audience from people that aren't familiar with who we are, but they're seeing us talk about what we're talking about. That the availability or the ability to do that on TikTok, where you can broadcast to the entire planet if you do it right. And it's organic and fast. What I mean by that is that account that was up for 11 hours had 2.5 million views. 11 hours, 2.5 million views. People are hungry for what we're doing. So our push, and I'll wrap up with this, our push at Cramersez, and that will not be the name long-term. It was a joke. Jim Cramer is my cousin, the guy that's on CNBC. Cramersez is his handle. So do you see the similarity?
Right. I love that guy. He goes crazy on the screen.
Yeah. Now he's a hardcore liberal. He's a hardcore liberal. He is not one of us. But he's crazy. I use the Cramer's. He is insane. But I used the Cramersez thing, and it was basically a fluke, but it took off. But we're likening it to like what Breitbart does. So our next move is to move out of the bitching and moaning. And I was talking to Michael about it the other day, or Brokitch the other day about it. Is that the issue that we have here in the country? We've got a lot of people screaming, but nobody has direction on where to put that anger, where to put that concern. And that's what we want to do, is we want to drive that into something that's more positive. For example, if we take over, if we're able to have elections, our group doesn't believe we'll see elections in 22. We think that they're going to try to do something that holds off the midterms. I'm not the only one.
I believe that too.
Now, Bannon is saying the same thing. Steve Bannon is saying the same thing. Maureen Bannon is saying the same thing. And now, what's her name? Wolf, that used to be with the Clinton organization. Naomi Wolf. She's saying the same thing. She's saying this convoy to DC will be the catalyst for putting us under martial law. So we shall see. But that's what we wanted to do with our group, is drive the direction of what happens next. If we're able to have elections, if the transfer of power happens like it's always happened in this country, if we go to the next in the next 2 years with Republicans in power, how do we want to utilize that power? How do we want to get things? What things do we want to get done? And the two big pushes that we have with our group is freedom of speech being number one. That's the most important thing that we have, is that everyone says, well, get rid of the Section 230. Section 230 doesn't do anything for us. Getting rid of it, having it, doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. What we have to do is we have to turn these social media platforms into utilities, just like they do the power company, just like they do the phone companies. And it's called a common carrier provision. And what that means is that the electric company can't turn off your power because they don't like what you say. The phone company can't disrupt your phone service because they don't like what you're talking about.
Right.
These companies need to be held in that same light. That's one of the pushes that we want to make, right? Another push that we want to make is that we want everything opened up about the elections, about COVID, waiting 75 years for these reports to come out, allowing the CDC to shut, to censor every bit of information coming out. This is America. That's not going to happen. If these things don't happen, if we can't get these things passed, the only resolution that we have left, and I hate to say it, is war. That's it. When a nation shuts down your voice and removes your ability to speak, which is what they're doing, and they're doing it by proxy of the government. What TikTok is doing, we already know TikTok is taking things down at the request of the government. That's illegal.
Right.
So
they said it out loud, too. They said that out loud. I mean, you heard Saki say the same thing from the desk. She said the exact same thing.
It feels like beta testing. Like, it feels like they're seeing what they can get away with and see what the consequences of. They're doing things to people to see who is going to make mad and see if they can silence the ones that get mad about it. It's like, it seems like they're doing little things in every other country, like what they're going through in Canada and things of that nature, just to see what Canadians will do with that situation and how other people would deal with it. And it's fucked up. And I want transparency with the media. If you ask me, the media has been evil for a long time. Like, you could just see that they're just completely left biased. Like,
the legacy media is dead. The legacy media is dead. It doesn't exist anymore. We are the new media.
Yeah.
I mean, so here's what I got really excited about with TikTok, and this is why I think it's important that we continue a presence there, if nothing else, just to be a thorn in their side, right? Is Fox News, OAN News, and Newsmax, they get somewhere in the ballparks of maybe 3 million, 5 million viewers a day. That's a lot of people. But that's on the average. When you average things out, it's 3 to 5 million. The group that we put together, Conservative Ant is one of them. There's a few of these creators that I put together, and I said, I want to see your analytics. I want to see what you're doing. Some are big creators, some are little creators. And here's what's cool about TikTok. Everybody tries to build up their accounts to have all these followers, right? Followers is how we judge things. It's views. Views matter more than anything else. I don't care how many followers I have. 2 followers, I don't care. 10 million views, that's important, right? So what we looked at Ant's TikTok account, and I think at the time he had somewhere in the ballparks of 400,000 followers. I had a new account that had 30,000 followers. We were getting the same amount of views over a 7-day period. Now think about that. My little account has just as much power as his big account. When we realized that, when we figured out that that was the case, then we go, well, then old accounts, who cares about keeping an account forever? You grow by having new organic accounts because TikTok is based on this organic growth. Okay, so with all of that being said, we looked at the analytics of this little group of creators. And what we found is that our reach on a daily basis, views, was 25 to 30 million. That is huge. For me as an advertiser, I go, fuck, that's a fucking audience.
Yeah, that's a gold mine.
We can leverage that. And so that's what we started looking at doing, is how do we leverage what TikTok does against itself. So our push is to build Cramersez as not a new platform, but as a new place to meet. And these other avenues tell people, hey, we got new shit over here. Go see the shit you can't see here, there. We're the new porn. We're thought porn is what we're labeling ourselves as, right? We're thought porn. We're the dirty thing that you can't say in public or show in public. But you want to go off and hide off and go, okay, I just got this new thing from Cramer, or I got this new thing from this guy here on Cramersez, and it's there. That's what we're moving to next, because we have to take back control of our voice. Yeah, so as my introduction, that's kind of where I've come from and what I've done to where we are now and what our mission is now.
Hey, Cramer, I got a question for you, though.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that Section 230 is not something that we need to focus in on, but why is it, though, that when these social media platforms are becoming more publishers than platforms, like, how do you expect to fight that in terms of like?
Well, they're going to do exactly what Facebook did. So Facebook said, yeah, we're a publisher, but only on the fact-checking stuff. That's the only time we're a publisher. Otherwise,
being more opinion-based now, because they came out and said fact checks are more
opinion-based,
yeah. Well, the fact-checking part of it, but the rest of it, all Section 230 does is protects them, right? It protects them from being sued for what you post. That's all it does. It doesn't protect us at all. It allows them not to be sued. But they got that because they said they weren't a publisher and that they had free speech on their platform. Well, now they come back in with these fact checkers and say, well, you don't. So when they said, yeah, it's opinion, right? It's opinion. It didn't change anything. And that's my point. Section 230 does us no good. It protects them. It doesn't do anything for us. What would do something for us is making Facebook, for example, a common carrier. The analogy I give is you're in the middle of a phone call on Verizon and you say something and somebody comes in and goes, I'm sorry, guys, you can't talk about that on our platform. That's your final warning. Click, call over. And you can't use your phone for 2 weeks.
Damn.
Right? That's where we are. That's what Section 230 allows them to do, because nobody is holding them accountable. With Congress in place, and it never did, right? Section 230 was always to allow them to have their cake and eat it too, is what it did. Because they still censor, right? They're a publisher, but they have the protections against anything that gets posted on their platforms.
Cake and eat it.
Oh, so they can censor you. They can censor you and have no penalty for censoring.
None.
So basically, it's like they can pick and choose what they can keep and what they can't.
Right.
There's no benefit there. So it's like if they have the fact checkers, they can say, oh, well, we don't want this there. Between us, we're going to say it's free speech, but I don't like what they're bringing, so I'm going to get rid of them.
Right, and I'll give you an example. One of the posts that one of my guys did, and I'm not on Facebook anymore. I was at the Capitol on January 6th, so my Facebook account has been banned, and I don't have any reason to be on Facebook. Facebook are for friends, and I don't have those. What I realized with Facebook is that Facebook, you're only screaming and yelling at your friends and neighbors, the people that you know, right? And that was too small a group for me. When I realized what Twitter allowed you to do, and in particular, what Instagram and what TikTok allow you to do in broadcasting, that's where I saw the benefit to it. And that's what I think is important. These platforms that allow you to hit a large audience. For example, in Instagram is a really hard nut to crack, right? It's hard for growth on Instagram. The average Instagram user has between 30 and 50 followers. And majority of those are friends and family because they're showing their pictures of their vacations and so on. When you go into the influence mode, right? Do you know that the next level of influencer on Instagram is 1,000 followers?
Wow.
Yeah. So when you get past 1,000, right, you're in the top tier. When you go past 10,000, yeah. Well, that's what I started realizing was that TikTok followers don't matter. Instagram, they do. Because the benefit to Instagram, and again, it's utilizing them, leveraging them for what they do, is that because Instagram and Facebook are so tightly connected, anything that you do on Instagram is instantly seen on Facebook as well, potentially. So you're publishing now to two platforms, and I'm not even allowed on one of them. I'm hitting it automatically. That's kind of what we've done is we've looked at the strengths and weaknesses. What we're telling everyone to do in their the push that they have in their message is if they're a true, there are a ton of creators. There's very few influencers. And the reason it's very few influencers is because generally the influencers are the ones, in my opinion, are the ones that actually give information, not just screaming and yelling. right? Here's insights. Here's something to think about. Those types of things. So people want to come back to that because it's not the same thing. That's why Rexorist and that group, they're just going to eat themselves alive. I leave them alone. That's why I leave them alone. That thing with Tizzy is a great example, right? When that blew up and they canceled him, that kind of shows you what they're all about.
He's back, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. But you know, it's like having what's his name? Who's the guy that was jerking off at his during the office meeting? Now he's on CNN. What's his name?
Tubin.
Tubin. It's like having Tubin on. Yeah, it's like, to me, you know, Tizzy is Tubin. Right? He's disgraced. It's not really a real thing.
That's a weird fucking guy, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I would love to punch out his eye socket. I'm dead serious.
So that's been our approach, is to leverage these platforms. So when you have a video, for example, and it's funny, you have a video that takes off on TikTok and you put that same video up on these other platforms and it just sits there and languishes. You go, well, isn't the message? No, it's the platform. It's a different use for Instagram than it is for Getter, for example. I'm trying to remember all these platforms that we're on. Yeah, and that's the other challenge, is that what we've done now is that we don't put as much up, but we put it across all platforms. So our last count, and this was done a couple of weeks ago, our last count is that Cramersez material, and I never say it's not mine. Again, I'm the presenter because I'm the one with the voice. But the total count of what we've produced over the last year, over 6 billion views.
Wow.
Give me some of them views. I want some views.
Right.
Well, and the way that you do it is spreading it everywhere.
Give me some of that money. Give me that internet money.
And you know what? God. We haven't monetized any of it yet.
No.
Not a dime.
I had an account on TikTok, right? I had just got banned. I came back with an account. I went 7 days with 3 views on 30 videos. I said, what the, like, how is this even possible? And I had Keisha go and like all my videos, right? After she liked my videos, then I started getting views. I'm like, man, what the fuck? I had to pop my videos cherries or something. What the hell was going on?
Yep.
That's what so red heart is, man.
That's it.
That thing got red hearts alike. It's not a like, it's a cherry.
It's a cherry. Right.
Pop it,
right. That's it. I just needed somebody to pop that shit.
So,
and what irritated me. Go ahead. No, what I was saying, what used to irritate me most about TikTok, like all of us here, when you have great content, well thought out, thought-provoking content, and they don't push your videos, but then dumbass people like I Speak and all them say nothing, like basically you have no content, no research done, and they just say dumb shit, and it's like all sorts of views. They get all sorts of views. I said, I think I was talking to Marlon. I don't know if it was Marlon I was talking to. I was like, maybe I should just paint one of my nails. See if I just if I just paint my thumb, see if that does it. You know what I mean? Like, or get really racist. It's fucking stupid.
Lipstick,
you know what I mean? Man. That's what it is. Right. I gotta have shit in my nose and say do this in the mirror and do all this. Then they'll love it. Fuck out of here.
Well, it's again, think about this, right? The way that I like it is, have you ever gone to the store and looked at axes?
Axes?
You ever looked at axes?
I make them.
Yeah.
I make them.
Okay. Well, if you go to the store and you look at an axe, what is on the edge of an axe? Every axe that's in the store, there's something on that edge. It's a piece of rubber, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
And why do they put that rubber on there?
To stop dumb people from testing.
From getting right. Okay.
Right.
So what they've done is they've done the same thing to us. Is that they're putting that piece of rubber on us. They're keeping us from being as sharp as we could be, because we know that what we're saying is cutting. And right. what we say, they're protecting leftist against us. From us, I should say, from us. Because what we have to say, when's the last time you heard of a conservative saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. I got to become a Democrat. Now, there's a bunch of rhinos out there. We know who they are.
Right.
But nobody says, it's always big news when a Democrat stops. I mean, Vernon Jones is a great example. Would it have made any news whatsoever if Vernon had been a Republican and became a Democrat? No. But the other way around, that's huge. And that's what they're afraid of, because Brandon Straka is a great example. When you see an awakening, right, of what I've been taught is wrong, it really opens your eyes in a different way as to how you think about everything. So if they're lying to me about this, what else did they lie to me about? Yeah. Right. I was talking to this morning, I was on another podcast, and I was talking about the way that they're talking about the big lie right now is the exact same way that they branded the Southern strategy, Nixon's Southern strategy, right? The South went red, and all those racist flips. That's what they've got in their head, or that's what they try to sell. That's the lie. The truth is that during that period, the South was rife with jobs. I mean, they were just blowing up. My parents, we moved from Martinsville, Indiana, down to Houston, Texas, because of jobs. It was all jobs. Now, here's the kicker, and this is what I always try to point out. And I was, this group that I was with today in this podcast was a liberal group. It was a debate, so we're going back and forth. And I said, well, here's the thing, guys. I said, you guys always bring up the Southern strategy, but you always forget the second part. Well, what's that? The second part is when the South turned red, all that racist shit stopped. You don't see cross burnings anymore down there. You don't see lynchings anymore down there. Once it became red, that shit stopped. Where'd the racists go?
Indoors.
They were replaced. They were replaced is what happened, right? And they were held accountable. Northerners came down from the North in the 70s, took those jobs over, and they didn't leave, but their belief structure stayed with them. So everything that we took down there, we started shaming people. Man, you can't talk about people like that. I know my dad did. My dad's a minister. And there was a guy in the church that had a very colorful language about people of color. Now, he called himself a Christian, but then he talked. Right. He had certain words that he used, right, that aren't acceptable. And so my dad called him out on it. And the guy didn't like it, right? But that's what it takes. You have to shame people. And the difference between what the left does and their shaming, it's not shaming, it's canceling. Right? Shaming is, I don't agree with what you're saying.
Let's be honest. They have no concept of how to shame. Let's put it this way. Now, Lee knows, Bro knows, Snacks knows, and I know you know, we know how to insult people.
Yep.
We know how to shame you, like literally make you feel like a cowering dog in the corner peeing yourself. We can get you there verbally. The left has no concept of how to do that. They have a list of words that they use. A list of statements, and they regurgitate that over and over, and eventually we'd be like, something new. At any time now, something new. You can't keep saying your mama fat. Oh, your mama fat. Yeah, your mama fat. You can't keep saying differently. Thinking, they have nothing to fall back to. So what they do is remove the person that can burn them.
The unoriginality of it all is what it is.
Yeah,
right. It's the yo mama equivalent to your poo-poo face. Like there's no integrity in the insult. There's no more mama jokes. Like there's no more playing the dozens. Like we're Gen X, so we grew up doing that. So you're not gonna get overwhelmed on it.
Yeah, you're not.
I can't wait. You know what I mean? I can't wait to explode my jokes on them.
That's the other thing is that the chick that's on TikTok, the young girl that says, "How did the Gen Xers get through the race bullshit?"
I saw that.
Saw that too.
Right. And the reason is because I know, at least from my experience, it's this way, is that my dad was a minister. We worked predominantly in churches of color, in and out. So all of my friends were black. That's who I played with, right? When we went to Texas, we didn't live in the rich area of town. So all my friends were Hispanic, right? And that's what I found is that true racists don't know anybody. That's why they're a racist, because they don't know somebody on that level where they know them as a friend, somebody that they can count on. That's why I think the military should be mandatory for everybody.
Yep.
Because bro, I mean, you get right that in the military there's a point where you're brothers. Now there's people you're gonna have problems with, but if you're in a firefight, you don't care what color that guy is next to you as long as he's shooting the way you are.
Yep.
Right. And that's where we're going in the country. And this race issue, that's why I don't talk about it on TikTok. I think I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. I was telling bro the other day, I said, in my mind, the way that we solve this race issue is we have a huge fucking orgy, national orgy. Everybody fucks everybody. Right. And then we have this new unified color. That's the new color of America.
We'll call it.
That's what we are, right?
I
there,
have the perfect name for it too. Benetton.
Benetton. Right.
The new race. So Benetton.
So, and you'll notice that on the right, we don't have that issue. That's not, no. When we have conservative conversations, it rarely involves race of any way, shape, or form. And the reason is, in my mind, is that, and Bro and I were talking about this the other day, is that I don't believe in hyphenated Americans. Mm-hmm. You're either an American or you're not. Mm-hmm. When I identify somebody, I talk about what people, color, race, height, all of that is secondary, tertiary in describing somebody. I always say, hey, did you see the video? Like I didn't say, did you see the video of that white chick that talks about Gen Xers? I talked about her idea. Her idea is more powerful than her race.
Right. Facts.
Right?
Lee would agree because he's Asian. He has no choice.
Well, Lee, I mean, here's an example, Lee. I think you'll find this. I posted on Facebook. This is a couple of years ago. I made a post that said, I want some of that Asian privilege. And I posted a story along with it that said, Asian Americans are performing at a higher rate than all other races combined, right? That they're, and how bad the article was how bad that was. Is that we got to correct that.
Yeah, right.
That's not fair to everybody else. That's a whole different story. Mm-hmm. But I put on Facebook with that thing, I forget that white privilege. I want some Asian privilege, right? Hashtag Asian privilege. Mm-hmm. This guy from Berkeley, a guy that I've known for years, he's a professor at Berkeley. He jumps my shit. Now, by the way, I also tagged 2 people in that post. He jumped my shit. How racist I was, how xenophobic I was, and yada, yada, yada. And it was my opportunity to teach. And I said, you obviously don't understand. You didn't read the entire thing. You didn't look at who I tagged. The 2 people that I tagged are my 2 cousins, okay? They're Asian American. Now, when I say Asian American, the reason I hyphenate them is because they're actually fucking from Japan.
Right.
My uncle got in trouble in the 60s and went to Japan to wait out the statute of limitations on the taxes that he owed, and spent 15 years in Asia, and he married a Japanese woman, had kids. They're Japanese Americans.
Right.
That's like African
They're high performance.
African American.
Yeah.
African Americans are from Africa and they came here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Elon Musk, richest African American ever. Right. Of all times. Right.
My point is that Democrats, liberals, progressives are so eager to show you how virtuous they are, that they look at everything as racism. They put everything through that lens, and they refuse to see how racist their actions really are. Because the moment that he put that racism on there and didn't look at everything in context, he had no idea that joke was pointed at my 2 cousins. They were the ones that I thought would find that funny more than anybody else.
And they probably
for them, and they did. In fact, they jumped in on it. They took pictures of themselves and then even tried to. They go. Yeah, we're Asian, but now we're really Asian. I mean, they were doing the whole thing with their eyes in the picture to this guy, right?
Yeah, it's stereotypical, right?
Yeah, and they're just as aggressive about it because they love America because they know the limitations that they had in Japan. Mm-hmm. That culture is very restrictive in personality and so on, right? And so. They're loudmouthed Americans, even though they were born and raised there. My point is that the left utilizes race as a weapon to divide communities. And what we see in the right is that we don't do that because we're working on ideas. They utilize race. It's not just race. They utilize race. They utilize sex. They utilize identity. They use all these things to divide people into little groups so that they can say, okay, we've got a handicapped Asian American woman who's married to a midget, who's married to a black man, and they adopted. Right? I mean, you see what I'm saying? They try to break these categories. When you start doing that, then the criteria moves away from meritocracy.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and it moves back toward caste rule. that we're going to determine your qualifications for doing whatever you want to do based on what groups you belong to, as opposed to what your capabilities are.
Right, right.
Yep.
And when
Michael,
you say that like that,
you were going to say something, Michael? I thought Michael was trying to say something a while ago.
Oh no, what I was saying is like at one point, when does it end? So let's say me as a Black American, at one point I was just like, okay, I agree with you, pro-blacks. I agree with everything you're saying. Now what?
Mm-hmm. Now what? Right.
That's it. That's it. That's all they want. They don't have a solution. They
Right.
give a
They don't.
solution.
do you know what it
There's
is?
no
There's an
struggle.
old joke. There's an old joke. There's an old joke. And this is a racist joke, but I'm going to tell it because I think it's funny. And it fits the situation. It fits the situation, right?
Good old fashioned funny racism.
Here we go. Right? Why do black people stink? So blind people can hate. So blind people can hate them too.
Oh,
right. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, I love that shit. I love that shit.
Hold on. Are we still on YouTube? Can you check?
The reason I tell that, the reason I say that,
oh, good,
is that there was a Star Trek episode in the original Star Trek where they landed on a planet and the planet was at war because of the two groups of people. Right? They were half black, half white. On one side of their face, they were white. On the other side of the face, they were black. Okay. Yeah. And then the other group was the opposite. Their black was on one side, and that's why they're at war. Here's the thing: to answer your question, Mike, you're never go. If we continue down this path of splitting everybody on race and all these identities that they want to classify people by, if we continue down that path, it's going to continue the way it is. If we finally say, listen. No, if we got rid of let me step back and put it this way. Having had the involvement that I've had inside the black community over the years, there's tons of racism there among each other, regardless of white people. Take the whites and Asians and Hispanics out of the picture. There are people, high yellows, tar babies. I'm trying to think of all the names that I've heard being utilized, at the picnic or at the cookout. Right, of them talking and denigrating somebody else within their own community using their own language. I don't know enough of it, but you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I was at a nightclub that I was DJing in that was partly owned by an NFL player. He walks up and tells me, he whispers in my ear, "You need to get him out of here." And JC, who's a black buddy of mine, he's dark. His nickname is Black, by the way.
See,
and the reason is
we all got JC. Black in our family.
He's dark.
Somebody know one.
And the reason his name is Black. His nickname is Black. I didn't name him that. His family did. His brother says his brother is light skinned. He caught something, and that he's dark, but he's so dark. He's so dark, right? That his family says he can leave fingerprints on coal. That's funny as shit. That to me, that's funnier than shit, right?
It's funny as shit.
Look, that's what we're missing, and that's why right now comedians can't do shows, is because everybody wants to be a fucking victim and get off and be, look, you hurt my feelings. That was funny shit. I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings. That was funny shit.
Okay, look,
I'm sorry. Let me get back. I want to answer. I'll close this with what Mike was saying. If we got rid of everything that supposedly is a sign of racism, at some point people would figure out something else they hated.
Mm-hmm. Noses and shapes of noses, right?
So to answer your question, how do we get rid of racism? And not racism, because I don't think you'll ever get rid of it. But how do we get rid of the it always being in the news and being utilized as a weapon? Is when we start saying we're not going to monetize it anymore.
But there are too many people monetizing it right now.
Yeah, and that's the issue.
See, I
go back.
Modern Warrior.
Yeah, exactly. I go back to how the very core of all of this is that push on Marxism, and as long as they keep that in the front. Now, the funky thing is, the whole idea of Marxism is rooted in communism, and it's rooted in socialism, which tells you that you shouldn't have capitalism, yet still using capitalism as the crux to get it pushed and keep capitalism, but only for the people pushing socialism. That makes zero sense to me.
None.
Because it tells me that you don't really want social. Well, you want it, but for the people you want it to have it. It's no different in India. When you look at India, I grew up, my whole family, half of my family is from India. And the caste system was massive.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about people, you couldn't touch them.
Yeah.
You couldn't go near them. That is the point that they're trying to get. And I talked about this on TikTok about them wanting back segregation back in America. That's just the first phase. That's not even the mean phase. That's the beginning. Segregation is the beginning of what they want. What they really want is a complete and utter tier system of the elite and you.
Yep. Right. And they want apartheid.
They do.
They want apartheid. They want South Africa and America. They want that distinction to be made. Either the rich and elite or dirt poor. That's what they want. And people forget about that, about socialism. Socialism creates a permanent underclass. That's the drawback that nobody wants to talk about, that you get underneath, you get dirt poor in socialism. There's no way to work out of that. Right. And the thing about capitalism was beautiful is you could be homeless this week and next week you could be Fortune 500 with hard work. And that's the beauty of America.
Mike Lindell's a perfect example of that. Crackhead to most hated person in America because of how wealthy he is.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And that's what we were. Snacks. What you're saying is that's where I was going to go. Is that
right?
And
exactly.
Capitalism is the only thing that offers you the ability to get out of that hierarchy. That's the only thing that does it.
And what makes me mad a lot of times is my thing is fuck race, fuck your races and all that bullshit. Where's the fucking patriots? Where's the people that love God and country? What happened to that aspect? What happened to I love God first and I love my country? Because if there was more patriots, like I remember duetting a video that you did, Cramer, where you said they should have let all the Gen X die before they start pulling this shit, because we don't go for that shit. We don't go for that, because we came from a generation where if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. If you say the wrong thing, I'm gonna say the shit back. They got all these young pussy ass kids pushing this social problem, these racial problems. Oh, my feelings have been hurt. See, that comes from sheltered kids living in the basement, and then they come out and they got a voice now. It's like Big Bang Theory kids are running the world now. Nerds who are socially awkward don't know how to have social skills. Like growing up, I remember getting on my bike and going to the park and hanging out with all my friends, all of them, all sorts of colors, the house parties. I remember all that. We didn't have a racist problem because in the 90s, there was other violent shit to worry about than racism. We weren't getting hung and we wasn't getting lynched. There was a lot of violence going on.
There was no value in it. That's what I keep saying, the monetization. There was no value in complaining about it. Right. And that's why I don't mess with it much. When I mess with it, I'll give you an example. Here's what's really pissing me off here in the last few weeks is the police officer that accidentally shot that kid that was trying to I can't remember his name.
Take off running. Yes.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? So she's going to serve 2 years in jail. Some people think that that's not enough. I think it's way too much. It was an accident. He was in the act of committing a felonious act, right? He already, by the time he's trying to escape and fight the cops, he's already committing a crime. Now, there's a whole separate issue about crime, cops and brutality. We've seen that played out in Canada over the last week, right? So I'm not giving the cops a pass, but what she did, what was in my eyes was an accident. Meanwhile, you've got Alec Baldwin,
accident,
who did the exact same thing and is walking around free. That's what we have in this country, is where everything is politicized. Everything is being used as a weapon. And the moment that we get rid of this race thing, again, I go back to the point where if I'm in a foxhole, and that's where we are right now, right? That's why the right isn't talking about this, because everybody that we're allying with is on an ideology. It's not on skin color. Right, go to college campuses. It's on skin color. It's on sexual. Right, it's your sexual identity. It's all these little break-off groups, and they've splintered off, and they're all fucking segregating.
Yep.
Right. We were, our generation was the first group of people that they said, listen, let's all come together, and we're going to segregate. We're going to integrate everybody. And are there assholes? Yeah, I know racist, but I don't put up with that shit. So when I call them out for what they've done, right? We hold them accountable. I don't let them justify why they're doing it. And I'll leave this whole subject with this. Everything that the Democrats do is rooted in slavery. Everything that they do. They can justify anything. And that goes from killing the unborn to actually owning people. Right? Their new slavery, they've realized, hey, we can't actually own people. But if we can get a piece of every dime they make, same thing. And so that's why they're so pro-tax and so pro-government, because they still want to be the slave owners. They still want to be the masters. Now it's not based on race, right? It's just based on everybody. We'll screw everybody. We'll make everybody our slave. And when you say that, it sounds crazy up front, but then when you start breaking it down and looking at how they make us fight each other while they stay up here in the main house. We're down here in the field duking it out amongst each other while they're up in the plantation house, them and their little groups, right? And that mentality has not changed. And here's how I fight with Democrats on this, and then I'll shut up about the race thing. This is it. I believe that every person in this country, given they have the intelligence, right? Given they have a voice, they can speak, given that they're not handicapped in any way, we're all equal. Fair?
Fair.
Yep. Right.
We all have the same opportunities. We all have the same ability if we've got that skill set. They don't. What they believe is that because of your skin color, you're either an oppressor or you're a victim. And we can never break out of that. That's a caste system. That's no different than India, right? Pakistan, that's their system. Once you're in it, you're in it. You can't ever break out. Then they put you into these other categories. If you believe in certain things like individuality, you're a problem. That's why socialism and Marxism and communism don't work long term. Is because they look at the collective. Well, if you don't have the ability to move up out of your system or out of your caste or out of go to the next level of the hierarchy, why would you work any harder at what you're doing currently?
Yeah. Right.
Why would you put any effort forward?
What's the point? Exactly.
What's the point? Right.
Well, and that's it right there. Now, I've been studying the background to this Marxism and socialism thing, and realizing that a lot of it Nietzsche talked about. But it's the crux of it, right? What's the end of all of it? Nothing matters. It's all nihilism at the end of it. So if that's the case, if that is the case, you can see why they believe the way they believe. It makes complete sense. But at the same time, they're trying to push that, but not push it for them. Right. Because for them it matters, but for you it shouldn't.
It's Animal Farm.
Rules which is why it can't work. Which is why it can't work.
Well, it won't work. It works for the sheep, right? We've seen it work for the last 2 years for the sheep. The sheep are buying into it. They love this shit.
Well, they're dumb.
They love to be told what to do, right? Today is no different than the Revolutionary War. It's no different at all. Everybody seems to think, if you know the history of that period of time, Ben Franklin was an outlier. He was like the Mike Lindell of his time, right? He was a publication owner. All the other newspapers of that period were owned by the crown. His paper was illegal, right? That's why he wrote under a pseudonym for a lot of time, a lot of what he wrote. When our founding fathers wrote their name on the Declaration of Independence, that was a declaration of death. They were putting their lives on the line, right? People are going, well, I get canceled. Yeah, the same shit was happening back then. The left today are the Tories of old. Look at what the Tories did back then. And if you go back and read what was being published in the newspapers at that time, same exact thing. It is amazing. It hasn't changed at all. The verbiage and the language that they used of calling somebody a scallywag, right? When you go back, that's like calling somebody a cunt today, right? I mean, the language they used was very verbose. And so nothing's changed. It's important to go back and look at what happened before. And the reason that the country succeeded and became the America that we know is because a group of men, and if you saw the video that I put together, we've all been told that it's a bunch of old white men that made all these rules. And we come to find out that the average age of our founding fathers was 44. Betsy Ross was 22 years old. George Washington on the dollar bill, that was when he was older. Right? He was only 44 years old when he won against the British. The British were the largest army, the biggest military, the most powerful nation on the face of the earth. And they were taken down. Why? The same reason we couldn't win in Afghanistan, Iraq, or in Vietnam or Korea is because you can't fight an insurgency. It's impossible. You can't win in an insurgency, right? That's why the British got kicked out. So the reason, and the other thing that comes into play with that in that argument is this here, and this is probably the most important. Our founding documents are not fluid. They've spent months working on every word, going back and forth, so it had the exact meaning that they wanted it to have. It had nothing to do with hunting. It had to do with tyranny. Everything was with tyranny. Your freedom of speech, you need it to fight tyranny, to speak out against it. Guns, you need that to be able to defend yourself, and not only defend yourself, but remove tyrants from power. And if you read the Constitution, we have the constitutional not only right but duty to remove tyrannical leaders.
Militia,
and when people say, they say, well, that's illegal. No, it's not illegal. No. I will go back and tell you this. Everything that Hitler did, everything was legal in Germany. They passed all the laws they needed to make everything legal.
Make it legal,
Make it legal, right. Legal. Dictatorship. Yep. That's dictatorship.
And we see the same thing, and we see the same thing happening now, right? They're wanting to pass laws to take over the elections at the federal level. Why? We just had the most transparent and secure election in U.S. history, but suddenly we've got to upend everything and give the government federal control?
Yeah.
Right?
It makes no sense, though.
Being told by the Department of Homeland Security that if you exercise your First Amendment rights, that you're a potential terrorist? That shit's got to stop. And that's why it's important that we come together. And that's why they're afraid, right? When Black Lives Matter took to the streets, when Antifa took to the streets, they're not concerned about those guys. Those guys will not threaten their power base at all. We do. And the reason we do is because we're unflappable, right? They keep throwing the same things at us, and what they keep calling the right racist, xenophobes, all. And then you look at the right and you go, well, hey, wait a minute. We're the most integrated, open community. We just hold people accountable for what they do. Exactly. We don't care who you are. Just don't fuck with us. Right. So I think that what we're going to see here in the next few months, and I know we're getting close on time here, but I think that what we're going to see in the next few months, in particular the next few weeks, I'm really interested to see what happens with this convoy crossing the US. It really concerns me.
Now, do you know who began that idea? Because that's the part that freaks me out, is the fact that where they're going to makes no sense.
How's that?
I don't see why going to the DC is going to help anything. It's just not. They already planned for them to get there. What are you going to do when you get there? Have a stalemate? You stand and look at the convoy looks at you. That makes no sense to me. If I were a betting man, I wouldn't even bother about doing a convoy. What I would have done was we're not working. Like we're just staying home. We're not working. Trucks are parked. Right. Bam. Now
not only the trucks, everyone. If you're conservative,
just stop.
Just stop working. Don't go to work for a week.
Yeah.
That'll
prove a point, though. You know what that'll prove? That a lot of conservatives are the workers. That the workforce is dominated by conservatives, and a lot of liberals are sitting at home complaining about shit. That's what that'll show. That'll show that it shut everything down. If conservatives stop working, shit.
Overnight, it shuts down the nation. Right?
Yep. Now, that's why I'm worried about it, because I don't see the point of going to DC of all places to do anything positive. Like the last time we were there, they painted us one way. I just think it's a setup for something worse. That's all I think.
Here's it's not a setup. And here's why. Here's why. We learned our lesson. I'm not going because I think I know what's going to happen. Right? I was at the Capitol on the 6th. I exercised my constitutional rights. I was on the grounds. I did not go in the building. I didn't see that as a benefit. And because I thought, well, hey, you get inside, you're trapped. I mean, that's primarily it. I didn't want to get arrested, so I didn't go inside. But with that being said, the people that were there, the average age was my age. There were some kids there. There were some younger people there. There were some children there, but the average age was my age. And there were food trucks there. There were all kinds of, that was not an insurrection. Did some bad stuff happen? Yeah. They should have never gone into the building. They should have never attacked the building. I don't agree with that at all. But we have the constitutional right to regress our address our grievances against our politicians. That's what we were doing. I will put it this way. When the mayor said, go home, all of those insurrectionists went home because that's what insurrectionists do. They obey curfews, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. A year previous, that city was on fire. Yeah. And they're going to equate what happened on the 6th to what happened there. Nobody died. And when I say that, nobody died except at the hands of the government. Everyone who died was killed by the government. Right? The police officer that died of a stroke. Had nothing to do. The coroner says it had nothing to do with anything, any injuries he may have received, that it was just a fluke of timing. So my concern with the convoy is this, and Ellen, it's the same one you have. I don't trust the founding of it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why we need to do it. Staying home makes much more sense. Don't put yourself into the situation of getting arrested. I know you want to do something, but the best thing you can do is do nothing.
Nothing.
That's the most valuable thing you can do right now is nothing. Take the week off.
Yeah.
Here's my
I get
concern.
that, Cramer. I get that, Cramer. But me personally, I think that we're being too peaceful. Me personally, I think that we need to start busting heads. I'll be honest with it, because the shit is not getting better. And nothing against peaceful protests, but I have yet to see since the time of Martin Luther King where peaceful protests actually did something. I think it's time for more militia. I think it's time for people to actually start busting these motherfuckers in the head for real. Like seriously, like if we're gonna take control of the country, I don't think being nice and political about it is gonna do it. I think that we need to make a stand, like a real stand. That needs to happen. It needs to be people who are not afraid to speak out and then not afraid to punch Antifa in the face, punch BLM in the face. Like, where are they at?
Right. That's where it's going to start, though. Right. So that's here. You've already seen it happen. Have you seen it? Did you see the Antifa shooting get swept underneath the rug? Did you hear about it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where'd it go?
Absolutely.
Why did it get swept underneath the rug?
Because that's the Democratic pluck. They need Antifa to stay up. They don't need them locked up. There's no agenda to push it. They lock them up.
They don't want to bloody their nose, right? They don't want to. They don't want to make them a terrorist. My thinking is this: is that here's what's going to happen. They're going to allow. Okay, I'm with Snacks. I'm with you 100%. But I'm coming at it from a different perspective. And I don't mean, it always ends with kinetic action. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what I mean by that is I went to 14 different schools. I learned very quickly how to deal with bullies. You try to talk to them first, but eventually the only way 9 times out of 10 that you got a bully to stop messing with you is to punch him in the face.
Punch him right in the face. Absolutely.
Beat the shit out of him.
Right.
Right?
Publicly.
Beat the shit out of them.
Publicly. Everybody's got to see it. Everybody got to see this. Right.
And you
don't just stop. Just like what happened this season. Right.
Right. So I expect that to happen, but you have to go to be able to, and I don't know if the high road is necessary because those who win the winners write history. Right. Mm-hmm. So, do we go in and do we start the fight? I don't think we start the fight. I don't think we have to, but here's my fear. I think that what's going to happen with this convoy is it's going to get to DC and then those fuckers from Patriot Front are going to show up. They're fake as fuck. That group is
all
branded.
feds, all feds.
Right.
All feds.
Absolutely.
They all look the same. They've all got the same body build, everything. My concern is that they get there and they've already started painting themselves as being part of the Patriot group, and it's going to be January 6th all over again, right?
Yeah.
The difference is that now we know what's going on, right? We know the game that they play. So I have a feeling that the moment that they start their bullshit, our guys will
Drop
not
back.
be unprepared this time. I think they'll fucking annihilate them. To your point, Snacks, I think that there's a lot of pent up frustration, and the moment that bullshit starts,
funny? Wouldn't that be funny if to see the truckers just all of a sudden jump all over those guys?
Yeah, and stop them from doing what they're doing.
Oh my goodness, bro!
Yep,
that'd be amazing.
See, my problem is there's so much that needs to be dealt with, like the school system, then the government, then just the mindset they're giving these kids. Colleges, like you were saying about college. I went to a college university just to see if they're really out there pushing these liberal agendas. The stuff that they're talking about on these college campuses. We went to Millersville. Millersville is not far. It's like outside of Lancaster here. And they are on campus pushing socialism and Marxism like it's a beautiful thing. And if you're against them, if you're black, you're an Uncle Tom. If you're white, you're a racist. If you're a man that's neither of those, you're a misogynist. So it's like you said earlier, they have every terminology at their disposal to throw at you, but they never have great talking points. That's the thing. That's why they get destroyed in debates a lot, because with a person with intelligence, he'll see through all that bullshit. But I hate to say it, these young kids really make you want to slap the shit out of them because their thinking is so stupid. And it's like they don't realize it's stupid.
They do.
I don't think they do. I think I watch these guys and you know what? I was watching somebody's live stream. I can't remember the guy's name, liberal creator, but they were going off about, and then the timeline, it said the comments was how much they hated Trump. Now, Trump's been gone over a year, right? But they're still talking about Trump and Trump. And then they go on to Biden and they said, well, yeah, he was a terrible candidate, but if Trump runs again, I would vote for Biden, even though I don't like him. Now, and it wasn't just one person that said that. It was one after another. So what Democrats have is they will what is it? They cut off their nose to spite their face, right? Mm-hmm. That mentality, that means that they're more locked to an ideology than they are solutions or getting things done. And those people you can't negotiate with. I can negotiate with a blue dog Democrat, right? But you cannot negotiate with someone who has now taken the abortion issue as an example, where, hey, this poor girl, she got knocked up and she was raped, and she needs the ability to be able to get rid of the baby. She doesn't want to have that rapist baby. Mm-hmm. Hey, she doesn't want to have this baby. I know it's supposed to be born tomorrow, but we're going to kill it anyway. That's where that compromise has allowed us. So I look at compromise with Democrats in this fashion. Will you let me fuck your sister in the ass? Now, when I say that, it sounds really crass, right? Mm-hmm. No. Okay, what can I do to her? What can I do to your mom?
They go to the extreme.
What can I do to your wife?
Right. What can I go to the extreme, but you'll take lesser. Right.
I'll take lesser, right? So and that's what we've allowed the Democrats to do, is that we didn't want to be called racist. We didn't want to be called xenophobes. We didn't want to be called these names or have to fight that. So, okay, it's easier to go along and get along. Well, eventually, we're killing fucking babies that are supposed to be born the next day in Virginia.
Right.
That's where it leads to.
Because they painted the lesser of an evil.
Right.
Right.
When it's not. Yeah.
Right. So it's still evil. Regardless of how you look at it, it's still going to be evil.
Right. And you know what I mean? Well, as conservatives, is we heard that verbiage and we were like, oh, well, okay, let's play nice. Let's take the high road. And then you have guys like Eric Holder who said, if they go low, we kick them. And we've allowed that. And somehow I think that the whole note, and with Snacks, his whole approach to, let's just go ahead and start punching people on principle, because they deserve it. I think that kind of sort of attitude and spirit of that kind of mentality is lost in us in the name of politically correct niceties.
Yeah. Right. I think it's time to stop being nice, though. Like my channel, I was never nice to stupid people. Like, I hate to say it, but I'm not going to be nice to fucking idiots. Like, there's no reason I'm going to be nice to an idiot. And I got in trouble for that a lot, but it's true. Mm-hmm. If you say that a child should be killed because you can't afford it, you're a piece of shit and you're disgusting. because your irresponsible behavior led you to getting this woman pregnant. Now you don't want to deal with responsibility. And when I was younger, we always thought that if we had a child coming, that means we got to get a couple more jobs to take care of them.
Yep.
But now it feels like I got to get a couple more jobs so I can pay for this abortion. And that's a sad mentality.
Responsible people, when they talk about having kids, responsible people, what they say is, we're not making enough right now to have another kid. My son just said this. My daughter-in-law wants a third one, and he says, we're not making enough right now to have a third one. Now, as a grandparent, I go, you never make enough money to have a kid.
Right.
Go ahead and have a kid, right? But that's what they think about. When that's not when you've got an out, right? I can get an abortion. Or if I have a kid, think about this. The system is set up for that girl to make the decision to be able to kill that child, or if she keeps it, it's a moneymaker for her until that child's 18 years old. Right? That's the way the system is set up. It doesn't put any individual responsibility into the system. And Snacks, what you were talking about earlier with the socialism, the communism, and the Marxism, those concepts, the reason that they don't like capitalism is because capitalism is based on the individual.
Right.
I can go in, take my capital. I can go in, I can build a business, and I can go from being the rat catcher in my village, right? Because the rat catcher, the people who deal with the dead in India, that's a caste. Rat catchers, that's a caste. In America, I can come to America as a former rat catcher and become the richest person on the face of the earth in this nation. Elon Musk is a great example, right? Elon Musk came from a foreign nation and did what he did and accomplished what he accomplished based on this right here. His ability to use the gray matter in his head. And I've said it a lot of times, that the only two things that matter, the only two colors that matter to me are gray and green. Gray, money. That's it. That's all that matters. And if you've got those two things, you can make a lot of things happen. And that's why the leftist and the globalist in particular, that's why they want what they want. We're too powerful. We now have the same tools available to us that they have to them. Think about this. 10 years ago, the five of us had no thought about sitting here talking about these things, doing a live broadcast to the rest of the planet. Would have never thought about that. We have the same capabilities now that legacy media has. Our responsibility as creators and influencers is to take that power. People like what we have to say, and the way that we say it is to utilize that, as Spider-Man said. Those who have power have an obligation. What is it? The thing. The thing. Those have an obligation to use it wisely, something like that, to wield it wisely or something like that, right? And that's the same thing. Responsibility. Uncle Ben.
What did you say, Lee? What was it?
With great
that's
power.
Right. He did. That's
it. Great power comes great. That's Uncle Ben.
That's it.
Uncle Ben.
That's it. So my point with this new technology is to take what we're doing here and spread it and not be silent. Snacks, to what you're saying, it's more than doing what we're doing here. It's when you are in public, right? And you see a fellow person not wearing a mask and you say hi to them. You acknowledge what they're doing, right? They may not be in it for the same thing that you are, but you acknowledge it. Hey, it's great to see your smile, man. Whatever that is, right? When you see things happening, instead of whipping out your phone, be the agent of change. Shame them in the moment, right? Don't take a fucking picture of it to see if you can get 15 minutes of fame. And then bitch about nothing ever happened.
This is what it seems like to me. I always look at myself like a reporter, like a real journalist. Because back in the day, remember when they used to do exposés? They would have like a corrupt laundromat or something. They would go to that laundromat and say, oh, well, you've been cheating people all week, to the point where they would get so much bad publicity at that laundromat that it would shut it down. And somehow we've lost that. We've lost that ability to say, since the media is fucking corrupt, it is incumbent on us to be like, oh, well, this is happening in my neighborhood. This is what's going on in my neighborhood. I think you should know this. Stay away from this. Because that is what, if we're going to use social media for good, then we have to be truthful. That's why I always say fact over feelings, truth over triggers. I don't give a fuck about your feelings because I'm going to say what's right. You know what I mean? And we get a lot of flack for that, because a lot of times I get flack because of the LGBTQ community. I don't care. That's what I don't agree with. I don't agree with none of that bullshit. Not saying I disagree with homosexuals, even though I do. But what I'm saying is they're destroying the reality of things. There's nothing wrong with me saying that a grown ass man can never be a woman. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to agree with it because I date women.
Okay, Snacks, we've got 5 guys in here, right? And when I say this, because this is part of the sexuality stuff, I use this example all the time. I will never know, no matter how hard I dress up, no matter what I do to my body, I will never know what it's like to be a woman. I'll just never know. I'll never know what having that conversation of feeling intimidated by an overzealous male, right? An overzealous male, to me, he gets punched in the mouth. But as a woman, I don't know what that's like, right? I don't know what it's like to walk down the street worried about being raped. I'm pretty enough. I should have that concern, but I don't, right? I'll never know what it's like to experience my first period, right?
What about your second one?
There's or the second one or the third one. You see my point, right? Now here, likewise, women will never know what it's like to be a man. And there's all these things that we do as men that only we know, right? It's like a guy code. And so when I say this, guys will understand it. Women will not get it. We were driving back from Florida. I go into a gas station. When I go into the urinals, there's 3 urinals on the wall. I went to the middle one. Fuck them. Right? Make that motherfucker check. He's got to fucking choose. Fuck him.
Right.
Make it check, women have no idea what the fuck that means.
Right.
They just never will.
Sorry. Right. Fuck them. I'm going in the middle.
Or if you're tall,
I'm going in the middle. You make a choice.
Right, take the short one.
Exactly. Exactly.
I know how to pee. I know how to pee in the duck stand. Right. Fuck 'em. And my thing is this: I don't want to have a pussy. I like the fact that I got a dick and balls.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I mean, I love being a man. I don't want to be a woman. I don't want to experience that shit.
I know how you can, though. I know how you can. What you do, right, is you turn on some Shania Twain.
Ooh.
And you sing. You sing, man.
Right.
I feel...
and suck my dick between my legs like Buffalo Bill.
They're like you when you're a kid, that.
You want to fuck me? Right. Well, Sounds of the Lambs. This situation.
Okay, but on a real note, on a real note, the whole concept behind what they're trying to do is what they say it's not control, because they say that the right wants control, but what they really want is control. They want to decide for you what they want you to believe. We, on the other hand, say, I don't get to tell you. I want to be able to tell you what I believe without blowback from you. You don't get to tell me what I should believe. I'm going to tell you what I believe, and I'm going to say it as loud as I want to. You can do the same thing. And at the end of the day, you can believe what you want to believe, and I can believe what I want to believe.
Yep.
Right.
The left is not that. And look, I keep going back to that Karl Marx statement: accuse your enemy of doing what you're doing while you're doing it to create confusion.
Yep.
And that's exactly what their plan is. Yeah, you're a bigot while being a bigot. You're a racist while calling you Uncle Tom. You hate this and you hate that while doing the same thing. It's if you look at it, it's textbook every single time.
Right.
I don't know how people don't see it.
It's like parrots. They parrot the same sentiments. And one thing I hate more than anything to hear, I'm sorry, I honestly, and I know I say this a lot, but I just want to punch black people in the face for this. Where they say black people can't be racist. I fucking hate that so much. They say that shit while they say racist shit to white people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the person like me, it hurts because the woman who helped raise me was my grandmother, who was a white woman. So I take offense to that shit. I take offense to racism. And I hate that it seems like you ain't pro-black unless you're disrespectful to the white people. And if you're a white person, if you're not saying that black people are oppressed, you're not white. I honestly believe that the most racist people on earth nowadays are black people who say that black people can't be racist and white men who believe in white privilege. If you're a white person, you believe white privilege exists, you're a racist person because you think you're elite. You think you're better than us. And it's just a true statement.
Can I give you a story? Can I give you a story of where I had to do something very distasteful just to prove I wasn't a racist? It's amazing. Okay. It's a funny story, actually. I was at at a client meeting. We'd gone out to dinner. We go back to the hotel bar and
you was at a clan meeting.
Just lit up.
Hold on. Cramer, you was at a clan meeting. Is that what you said? A clan meeting?
Client.
Oh, I was going to say shit. This shit got real. I was going to say fuck Cramer.
Clan meeting one time. And...
All right. Let me
tell you about this time I was at this lynching.
Right. When I was ironing my sheets.
That JCPenney white cell can't come soon enough. So I was at a client meeting. I'll enunciate this time. I was at a client meeting. Went to the hotel bar and got trashed. And I ended up leaving my jacket at the bar. Next morning, wake up, getting ready to go back over to the client's offices and realize I don't have my jacket on me. So I go down to the bar. Bar's closed. I go to the front desk and I said, hey, listen, I left my jacket at the bar last night, I think. Can anybody see if it's there? And she said, well, I'll go check. And she comes back. She didn't have it. Okay. Fuck. So I start to walk out and I walk by and there's this Indian dude that's sitting at the table with my fucking jacket on.
Oh my God.
Now my jacket's a unique jacket. It's a unique looking jacket, right? And I went, oh man, how do I approach this? So I go up and I said, excuse me, I got a weird question. Is that your jacket or did you find it? I mean, that's pretty, that's pretty innocuous, right? And he goes,
right.
Now I've got to say that next to him, at the table next to him, is a well-dressed black man. Looks like he was going to a meeting as well, right? But he was fully suited. I was just wearing business casual. He was fully suited up. And I said, I think that may be my jacket. And the guy goes, no, it's my jacket. And I go, well, do you mind if I just put it on? Just so I can, in my mind, and I'm explaining it to him, if I don't ask you and I leave South Bend, Indiana and go back home, this will, in my head, it will be there the rest of my life. I should have asked him, right? And so as soon as I said that, the black dude stood up and goes, what the fuck are you saying? Are you saying he's a thief because he's Indian? I went, no, I'm saying he's a thief because I think that's my jacket.
Oh,
and he goes,
shit.
You're a motherfucking racist. And he went off on me, right? I went, whoa. No, it's just the opposite of racism. Because I actually thought if I say something, it may be taken as racist. But if I don't say anything, that's definitely being racist. Because I would have said it to a white guy. Right. You see what I'm saying? That process, that's when you know there's a problem. Is that when I said it, I was saying it like it was anybody else on the planet. I didn't care what his color was. I didn't care who was. But all of a sudden I'm treating him like I would treat the white guy. And all of a sudden I'm in trouble. Now, he got up. He was not happy. And this was all amicable, right? It was the other guy and I were having the problem. And the Indian dude and I were kind of going back and forth. But I described what was on the inside lapel of the jacket. He opened it up. And guess what was on the inside of the lapel of the jacket? The exact same thing. So I said, can I just try it on? Can I just try it on? I put it on. Not my jacket.
Oh my! It wasn't your jacket. Oh my God! It wasn't my jacket. It just looked like your jacket.
It looked exactly same manufacturer, same everything. Not my jacket.
Oh, not your jacket. Damn. God, that story ended differently.
What a racist.
Right.
That went sideways. And the reason though that I say that I tell that story is because if I had been a racist, I wouldn't have had any issue. Right. I would have gone up because I think I'm better. I'm going to go up and say, hey, listen, that's my fucking jacket. Take it off. I want to put it on. See if it's mine. That's the mentality. The fact that I had to think about it and ruminate through this, do I do it or don't I do it? How's it going to play? And this is all happening in the moment, right? That's where it tells you that we have this thing in this country that allows people to put you in this box because they don't like what you're asking. Or you don't, and if somebody came up to me and said, listen, I think you stole my jacket. Let me put your jacket on? I go, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, It's not yours, right? That's what I would have said up front. But all of a sudden, because we had different skin color, there's this added tension that didn't need to be there.
See, I would have fucked that whole situation up. I would have went over there saying crazy shit like, give me back my jacket, Habib. Ain't you late for the 7-Eleven or something? Shut the fuck up, Jamal. This don't have nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? I would have got arrested. Tyrone, you don't sit your bitch ass down.
You black. You would have got away with it. You would have got.
Right. I wouldn't. No. I would have got racial profile. You know what I mean? I would have got choked out because
Jamal
I'm black.
Not you.
Yeah, Jamal, right?
You're the thug-looking one. You wouldn't have got. It was Jamal that would have gotten arrested.
Jamal. Jamal would have been the one arrested.
Well,
right. Black Lives Matter would have took my back. Right. You're right.
Why did Tyrone get involved?
Tyrone.
Why did I got get involved? Like that.
Tyrone stood up.
We were told to call Tyrone.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah, call Tyrone. Right.
Yeah.
You're supposed to always call Tyrone.
Yeah. We're told to call Tyrone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
see, Jay Lee, if you would have came to the cookout, this is information you would have heard. You were at the cookout.
But isn't it funny? But isn't it funny though? We can have a conversation here and talk about differences, and it's not nobody's got wearing their heart on their sleeve to where there's any offense meant or any offense taken, right? Right. That's where we need to get back to. And I think our generation in particular, if you look at our comedians that we grew up with, the comedians that I liked the most were the ones that took it to the line all the time. Richard Pryor,
George Carlin,
Dave Chappelle, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
When you take a look at, I'm going to pick on everybody because we all have cultural idiosyncrasies. We all have personal idiosyncrasies. And that's our group, at least our age group. We love busting balls. Yeah, I mean, getting up, burning someone, hitting them with a hard burn, or their mom with a hard burn was like you got a fucking trophy at the end of the year for that. And today it'll get you canceled, right? I mean, look at they're going back.
You're on top of the jungle gym,
right?
Yeah. When you're good at burns, you get the top spot on the jungle gym.
Yep.
Right.
Well, there's a guy on Twitter today that tried to burn me. He said, I don't know if you saw the video, if you're following me on Instagram, but I said that Kamala Harris is now finally paying attention to the border crisis. It's not ours, it's Ukraine's, but it's a start, right? That's all I put
it. She's not going to do anything out there.
Yeah, she will. She'll lay down.
Well, some guy on Twitter, and so this is the burn thing, right? His burn to me was, he goes, you fantasize about being in her shoes when she's taking a hot load from Willie. Now, there's a lot of convoluted messaging in that tweet.
Wait.
Right. Well, Willie Brown was the guy. Willie Brown. Right. So I'm supposed to be fantasizing that I'm her sucking his dick. That's what I'm supposed to be fantasizing about.
In her shoes.
Okay. Oddly enough, I just had this exact same. The left, they have this insane fascination with everything to do with the bedroom when they try to do an insult. Either you're bisexual, and mind you, they're the same people that say whatever your sexual preference is okay.
Yeah.
Yet, that's the first insult they use against you.
Yep.
You're gay, or you like D, or why were you trying to be like a girl? All of it has to do with sexual insults, while at the same time saying, "Be free, love who you want, express yourself how." But I am, and but then you say it's an insult. No, so which one is it? Is it good or bad? And decide.
That's why I explode on them. If you say something sexually degrading to me in a homosexual way, I'm gonna call you a faggot. I'm not gonna feel bad about it.
Well,
I'm gonna enjoy my day afterwards. I'm gonna enjoy my day after. See, and that's a problem. You know what's crazy? I was just talking to Marlon about that. You notice that if you say the N-word, it's not such a bad thing no more. Nobody cares. But if you say faggot, it's like he said he's like using the word Voldemort. It's like, ooh, the word you dare not say. Fuck him. Hey, you say something about sucking my dick and you're a man, you're a faggot.
Are we
a good faggot?
Marlon,
with a hard F. Fuck you, faggot.
Are we still on YouTube? Hang on. Are we still on YouTube?
We're still up. We're
still up. Here's the problem. It won't take us down. I'll tell you why. If you don't, there are 3 things that'll get you removed completely from YouTube, and I've tested the algorithm 3 different accounts now. You're safe. You can mention sexual stuff all you want. But when you start actually having an entire program where you say that it's a bad or sinful thing, you get taken down. One.
Yep.
Two, if you say something about J6 and it being a positive and not enough, you go down. And three, if you say anything about 2020 that it was no longer legit, you go down. Everything after that, you're fine. You're fine.
Exactly. Yep.
Liberal rules.
My response to him. So this is the burn thing, right? This is where guys, our age group, digs this kind of stuff. So his response was, "You fantasize about being in her heels when she gulped Willie's load." And my response was, "And you fantasize about watching your mom take mine."
Right.
The mom joke. Kablam. Kablam.
Blah, 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 blah. Take all that with you, Fit.
I'm not below. That's not below me. A mom joke isn't below me. I'll take that.
Right.
Now you remember how much that used to hurt back in the day. Like. Okay, and I don't know what it is, but if it was a good enough burn, I should say. Sometimes it wasn't a very funny one, but sometimes if they get you good, it shut you up like 100%. Shut you like you just. Okay.
It's just like.
We're done.
Do you know how I got my ass beat one time? I got my ass beat because I said the wrong thing to the wrong person. I didn't know him well enough. Black dude. And he said, I can't remember, he said something and he goes, "Your mom." And I go, "Well, I don't have a mom. Me and my dad use yours." Bam, bam, bam. I don't remember being hit so fast. I mean, he knocked me the fuck out, right? Now we're friends today. Yeah, that was his school.
And then you go. That's how it worked. That's how it worked.
You know? And now I make that joke all the time, right? But that's 40 years later.
I have
right?
friends like that now. That's how you became a good. For me, my best friend I ever had was because of a Yo Mama joke.
Yep.
Right.
I got him really good, and he was supposedly the big bad Yo Mama joke guy, and I got him so good that he couldn't do anything about it. It's like, all right, we friends now. Like that's how we were enemies, and then
can't beat them, join them. Right.
Yep.
I mean, back in our day, we called it bagging. Now they call it roasting. I was like, man, I remember walking into like the cafeteria in high school, and we all used to sit around and just roast each other or bag on each other, mama jokes and all this stuff. And there was always a fight at some point. But these kids can't take this crap no more. You know what I mean? It's just like,
well,
and they've never been punched in the face. You can tell they've never been punched in the face.
Right. Because they're big talkers until that happens. I just put up. I don't know if you saw it. On Instagram. I'll see if I can put this up real quick. If you can see this on the camera here, real quick. But I saw this video and I go, that is them in a nutshell. Let me see if I can find this. It's I changed it. I added a thing to it and I said that it was Antifa. It's the way that they act. Let's see if it's okay. Look at this.
Oh, I saw that earlier.
Oh, he hurt his hand. Little man got a nugget. He got a nugget.
That other little
kid,
but look,
right? Did you see how he practiced it first? He said, "Oh, oh shit!" That was like a cartoon. You know the cartoons when they punch somebody in the face and go, and it's right.
I wish I could see the rest of that clip. I wish I could see the rest of that clip because the little kid gets up off the floor like he's ready to beat some ass.
Right. I see that. Right.
Yeah. So
I see that. But he said
he dropped his toy and everything. Like, all right, that's it. Oh, you all right? That's it. We're done.
I would have did a voiceover for that. Oh,
yeah, I got. God. So I'm trying. Let me get out of this. So you know, my thinking about, you know, what we've got to do as Americans is we've got to start shaming these people back into place, right? Is we've got to start telling, listen, we've got to start speaking out about what you think racism is, what you think misogyny is, what you think mistreatment is, whatever that is, whatever you're against. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't. I can be an asshole, but I can't hold you back from anything. The thing that can is the federal government, your state government, your local government. Those are the people that have the most impact on your daily life. Racists don't have any impact on your daily life for the most part, right?
Sure.
I think that people get so wrapped up in that. It's like what's going on right now with this Ukraine bullshit, right? That's a distraction to keep us away from all the other bullshit they're doing in our own backyard. It's a distraction to keep us to forget what just happened in Canada. Mm. I mean, look at how quickly they changed that narrative, right? We got the protesters because somebody threw a bike underneath that horse. That's why the horse did it. It wasn't the police's fault. It was the person who threw the bike. Well, it wasn't a fucking bike. It was a little rascal because the lady was disabled. She was in a wheelchair, right? And then you turn around and lie to us. And then you go, this is Stelter on MSNBC saying, we've gotten to the point where people believe influencers more than they actually believe us hardcore journalists.
I saw that.
Now here's the
what
thing.
really happened was that people are starting to believe them and they not believe us.
Yeah. Hey, Pudgy.
I love my cracky wife.
Right.
CNN.
But it's you know, so let's take a look at what's happening right now with CNN. CNN's a great example about them eating their own. Is that Cuomo gets fired, right, and then turns on all of them,
right,
and starts telling all their secrets because he's pissed off.
Yeah,
let him go. You know, the two books, and every podcast I'm in, I tell everybody there's two books they should read if they haven't read them, to go out and read them immediately. They're both short reads. The first one is Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
Yeah, read that.
That book will tell you everything you need to know about how they think, what their strategies are, what their tactics are. They have not changed. They're the exact same thing. To your point, they blame you for what they're doing. They say that guy's a racist while they're building a scaffold to hang someone, right? That guy's a misogynist while they're sexually assaulting a young girl. That person's a pedophile while they're covering up the names of people that they know that have had kids trafficked. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's what Rules for Radicals does. Is it explains how they work. That's why I think I'm really effective at what I do, is because I just take their rules and use them against them. That's one. The other one is Rules for Radicals and Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Art of War. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Art of War is a teaching. That book right there is not only good in politics, it's good in your daily life. And one of the things that Sun Tzu says is, when your enemy is destroying himself, don't
interrupt him. Yeah.
Don't stop him. Right. There you go. Yep.
I didn't know you read.
And that's the radical left right now, is that, you know, we see it more on the left, and though the right does happen, but more on the left, man, they're eating each other up. They're attacking each other constantly on social media and through every other platform. They're going after each other. And a lot of us people on the right have called it. We're like, yeah, they're just going to eat each other up eventually.
Well, think about it. Think about it this way, right? It's like if you put a it's like if you put a it's called a snakefish, right? Isn't that what they have the problem with in Florida? It's an Asian fish.
Snakehead.
Evasive. Okay, snakehead.
Yeah, evasive. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so if you put a snakehead into a body of water, a mating pair into a body of water, eventually all you'll have in that body of water are snakeheads. That's what Twitter, that's what Facebook, that's what these entities have become, is they've pushed out the right. They pushed out any other thing that they don't like. And so all that's left are themselves to feed on. That's it. And that's what we're seeing. Truth Social is a great example. I think what you're going to see is that if it lives up to its hype, people are going to abandon these other platforms, not to go there and bitch, but to go there and rejoice in being able to have a voice and to be able to get together. Think about this. How many times have you built a really cool little community on TikTok, and you've got followers that you like, you've got other creators that you follow that you like their stuff, and then boom, one day it's gone. That community that you've built for yourself is gone because they don't like who you're associating with or what you say. Yeah. If truth lives up to that, it won't be the last. And that's what we need. And that's what I keep preaching to these congressional members, is that, you know, what we need is the ability to have a voice. And until we have that, we're going to have this war. If you remove, it's why the First Amendment is first. And people should think about it this way. The reason that the First Amendment is first is because we should talk through our problems. We should negotiate first. when that is taken from us, when we no longer have that availability, then we use our arms, we use our might. And that's exactly what our founding fathers knew. They knew that if you couldn't talk through it, if you couldn't negotiate through it, then there's only one other way to remove tyranny.
Right. Forcefully.
Right? Forcefully.
Right.
And that's why they said it's not only our right, it's our fucking duty. And again, I'm not advocating for revolution or civil war in this country.
He's not.
I want it.
I am.
Right. Well, but I think you're going to get there. You know why? Because they've gone too far. They've painted themselves into this corner.
Right.
And they can't see. You know what? I think that Bill Maher put it right. I think he put it correct. He goes, there's a huge difference between the right and the left. He goes, the right thinks you're wrong. We on the right, conservatives, think they're wrong. They think we're evil. And when you think someone's evil, that justifies you to do anything you want against them.
Yep.
Right? You can use horses against them. And look what happened, how they held. The reason I know that politicians in these blue cities, the reason I know that they support Black Lives Matter and the actions that Black Lives Matter as a group took. They support Antifa. The reason I know is because they didn't act the same against them.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed their cities to burn. Now, was Ottawa on fire? Did anything get burned in Ottawa? Were any businesses looted?
No.
But they used the full force of the government against those people.
Yep.
They had fucking bouncy houses in the middle of the street, right? That's how I know that they're on their side. And when that's the case, when they will utilize laws and the system against their fellow citizens, that's tyranny. When the police officers remove their badges and their name tags and go in and do battle with the citizenry, they're no longer police officers. They're no different than the brown shirts that Hitler had.
Yep.
And when you say that, well, we're so tired of you correlating history, with what's going on. It's different. It's not different.
Repeating is what it is.
It's because you guys are so fucking stupid. You don't realize it. You don't recognize it for what it is. Here's the thing. Everything that I've ever done on social media from the day that I started was all based on two things: history and human nature.
Mm-hmm.
History tells us what people are capable of, right? What they can do to each other, what they've done to each other, and human nature tells us how likely they are to do it.
Yeah.
So when you tell somebody, when you justify, when the bully justifies this group of people over here we can pick on, you're free to do whatever you want with that group of people, because as the bully, the one with the power, I'm giving you permission to go do what you want to do with him. When that's the case, like it is now, we're in the situation that we're in. The media says it's all right to do and say what you want against the right, but don't pick on the left. That's the mainstream media. I mean, let's go back, and this isn't a race thing at all, because I want to get off of it. I just want to look at. I want to point out how the media, how they push things in a certain narrative to give you a certain concept of what something is or what's going on. They tried to paint Joe Rogan as a racist. Mm-hmm. Anybody that knows Joe Rogan knows he's just the opposite. He's as open as can be, and he's one of them, right? He's probably more central or centrist than they are, but he's a liberal.
He's a Bernie fan.
He's a Bernie fan, right? So that's where his mindset is. He used the N-word in conversation. Now, I use it from time to time, but I use it the same way that he did in describing that the word only has the power that people give it. Like any other word, cunt is another example, right? Now, I don't use it because I know that some people don't like to hear it. But he didn't use it in hate. He didn't use it. He was using it as a word, no different than the word and or the or red or blue. It was a word used in a sentence, not used against anybody, but being said. They took those snippets of where he said that word and said, as if he was saying it against people, right? It leads me back to this, because it's important to know where the information that you're watching, where it's coming from, because they did the exact same thing with Sinclair Broadcasting. And you don't even know that it happened to you. How many of you have on your channels or in your videos have taken the video of all the newscasters saying the exact same thing?
Yep.
And posted it back out?
I've seen it.
I've seen that.
Why? Have you posted it back out yourself?
Yes.
Why? Because of what they said?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who it is?
No.
This is going to blow your mind. Okay. You have to listen to the entire message. They never, have you noticed that snippet never plays the entire message? It only plays a part of it. The part where they compiled everybody saying the same thing together. If you go back and listen to it, what it is it's Sinclair Broadcasting saying you have to listen to all forms of media. You can't just listen to one voice, right? You have to get your news elsewhere, and you have to be able to trust it. You have to know where it's coming from. That was a promo. That promo was sent out to stations across the country. Sinclair Broadcasting is the largest conservative, privately owned network in the country. They have more local stations than any other group in the country. That's why they went after him. They painted it as if it came from John Oliver. John Oliver, This Week Tonight, is the one that put that together. If you watch that entire episode, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a hit piece on Sinclair. People on the right took that footage. They took that footage, right, and utilized it because they thought they knew the story. They didn't know the story. The story is it's a hit piece. Every time they use that piece, it's a hit piece on Sinclair Broadcasting. Sinclair is conservative. What they're saying is, don't fucking believe the media. Take everything with a grain of salt. Look at all information. Don't just trust one source. And they utilize that against him. Well, it's the same way that they're utilizing going back, 5-6 years to Joe Rogan, and let's see how many times we got to find something that he did. And I can guarantee you that when they found the first time he used that word in context, they said we can use that. When they found more than one, it was like, oh my God, this is treasure. It's gold. We've nailed him, right? The problem is, and this is what's important, the people that support Joe Rogan
will continue to support Joe Rogan
because they put things in context. They think, right?
Joe's different than Trump supporters. We'll still support President Trump.
It's the same, right?
Thing is that they scream about how context is important when Biden said it in the House, but somehow it doesn't matter about Rogan's context.
Right. It doesn't make sense.
Narrative wins. Narrative has to win
every time. Just like Wuzzle Root. Y'all know who Wuzzle Rod is? He used to be on there. He was on TikTok, and he said something. Confirmation bias. If a whole bunch of people keep putting it, if the media and everybody puts out a certain narrative over and over and over and over again, a lie becomes truth because it's everywhere. Because it's like no matter what you hear or where you go, you're going to hear the same narrative. So when you hear that, you start hearing that the majority of people who are lying is better than 3 people that's on the truth, because 3 people can't defend themselves against the minority. And it's the same. If you look at it, the same thing they did with Trump when Trump said that there was good people on both sides. They made it seem like he made it seem like the Aryan Nation is good people, and that's not what he was getting at. You know what I mean? And it's just hurtful that a person like that would have to go through that. Meanwhile, you got Joe Biden's bitch ass just saying constant shit for all the years he's been in office. And Trump is deemed the racist, and the actual racist who's been a career racist is looked at like a hero just because you don't like Trump.
Yep.
Well,
I don't get it.
Right. Well, and take a look at what just happened. The example you give about Charlotte, right? The kid that drove his car through that crowd, killed that lady. And that was the catalyst for stopping all the hate language on social media. That was the catalyst. If you remember, that was when they said, we're going to get rid of hate. We're going to start. And we said it was a slippery slope. And what we got now is that it's past hate. It's not hate. It's that you can't speak out against an election. Right? That's the slippery slope. You can't talk about a vaccine or vaccinations. You can't, they've now said there's other things that you can't talk, and doesn't have anything to do with hate.
Right. Just like Juicy Smollett. Just like Juicy. Yep. Y'all remember that they used Juicy for back when he made that lie up, he made it seem like it was Trump supporters who put the noose around his neck just to make it seem like Trump supporters were fucking Aryans. Come to find out he was a lie. Did anybody go say, oh, we're sorry, Trump? We know that, nobody said sorry to Trump. And Trump was listen, I got out of prison when Trump was in office, and I hit the ground running. I went from an ex-con to making a lot of money an hour. The economy was dope. You know what I'm saying? So and I got released because of a second chance program that Trump put in effect in the prisons.
Wow.
So I came out pro-Trump. You know what I'm saying? And I seen the shit he went through. That's what made me think there's got to be something to this conservative stuff. Because, you know, I didn't care about politics at all. I was one of them people, I could care less about politics until I read Thomas Sowell and shit like that. And I was one, I'm gonna be honest. Thomas Sowell changed in prison. I've read so much Thomas Sowell that my whole outlook on politics, finances, all that changed. But I thought to myself, why the fuck did I always follow the Democratic Party and I knew nothing about politics? Because I started noticing that black people only became cared about politics once Obama became president. Once Obama became president, it seemed like black people were coming out talking about judicial systems and Congress, shit we never gave a fuck about before. But when Obama becomes president, now we know everything about politics, you know, and it was sad. It's true, you know what I mean?
It's like when you commit a crime around a group of black people. Say, don't do that. That's 5 to 10.
right. That's 5 to 10. Don't do that.
5 to 10. Right. Don't do that.
Right.
Well, I think that there's been an awakening. You saw the poll numbers. Trump performed so well in 2020 in the black community, and especially with black males. I mean, black males just took off because I think what. One of the things that Trump has done is the awakening of being the lightning rod from so many things, and people who aren't really paying attention go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. Now, I don't agree with everything that Trump said, and I can't hardly, or Trump did. I can't hardly listen to the man because he's just hard to listen to, right? The way he talks and the way so I take those two things out, right? What did he do? What actions did he take? Obama was in office for 8 years, and in 4 years, Trump did more for not just the black community, but all communities, right? What did he do with HBCUs?
Oh, gave him that money.
Funded him for 10 years. What did Biden do on day one?
Stripped it away.
Right.
Trump goes in and set it up so that insulin, which was the prices were going through the roof, he went in and made it so that it was affordable again. What did Biden do on day one? Got rid of it. Right. They got rid of all the stuff on the border. I just read an article that says that the Biden administration is now reconsidering some of Trump's policies because they're realizing that some of them were valid.
Oh my gosh. Listen,
what?
People, my family members were leaving the blocks. This is what people don't want to talk about, but I'm gonna say it. There was so many pieces of shit family members that I had that were leaving the box, stopped selling drugs, and was working hard in these warehouses because they were getting health insurance and they were actually becoming the kind of adults I always wanted them to be. And during Trump, it was like jobs were everywhere, and they were seeing that. They was like, oh man, I don't have to worry about getting shot and shit. I can go to work every day. And people, I could tell you 10 family members who moved out the hood and moved into the suburbs and are still working those jobs. And it was like a breath of fresh air to see, man. It was wonderful.
The moment that control is taken over or taken off, right? And people start thinking freely, Democrats hate that. They need you to be subservient, and they don't care what color you are. They don't care. They just want those bodies. That's why, I think that's why there's been a push to the Hispanic community, especially illegals, right? As I think Democrats see that as the black community becomes more affluent, that they're abandoning the Democrat Party, and they need filler. Right. And so Hispanics, hey, we'll let you come into the country free. Remember, everything that Democrats do is based on we'll give you something if you vote for us.
Right.
Conservatives can't offer that. We talk about the three things that are intangible, right? Jobs, education, security. Those are the big things that are the core of the Republican Party, the GOP, conservatism. Those three things. That's intangible. I mean, you can have a job, but it's intangible. It's not like I'm going to pay for your college, right? I'll create an environment that allows you to have a job. That's intangible. I will pay for your college, right? That's the free stuff. Well, it's no different than what the Roman Senate would do when they would hold their games and they would give out their prizes. It was when it came time for elections, that's what they did. They go out and give out free shit.
Right.
Democrats have never abandoned that. They've done the same thing. And that's why it's hard for conservatives, because our ideals are ethereal. There's not the materialism built into it, right? I'm going to offer you freedom, free speech, free movement, all of these things that are intangible. They don't land in your hand. That's hard to sell to people that go, well, I've already got that. They let me have it. They let you have it until they don't want you to have it anymore. And Trudeau showed that. This subject matter is really dear to my heart because I always say the same thing. People will show you their true colors, and they'll show you that the argument that they're making, the things that they're arguing for, they will show you themselves why you should never go along with them. Universal health care. It's a perfect example. If 2021 hasn't shown people we cannot have universal health care in this country, it's too fucking dangerous. They're too stupid to be told.
Yeah.
When Biden came in and said to Abbott and to DeSantis, because you're disobeying me, your people cannot have life-saving medications. They can't have these monoclonal antibodies. The moment that he said that, that's all I need to know. They will use your health as a weapon against you. Well, and that's what they did.
That's what I just heard a broadcast where that's how Hitler sold his whole ideological principles. The Jews were isolated, or they were locust or lice laden. And we need to do what we can scientifically to cure the population of this. And right now, it's like, as you're saying, I'm trust the science. Well, the science will cost. Well, trust the science. We're leading to FEMA camps in Australia because we're trusting the science.
And here's the thing, Snacks, to what you've been saying, I agree with. I think that I don't want it, but I think that I think that the kinetic action, I think revolution or an overthrow of the government at some level, at the federal level, not the state level so much, but at the federal level is possible in the next couple of years because of how hard they're pushing. With that being said, the only way that we can get there peacefully, that doesn't happen, is if our rights are returned. If that we're not being trampled on like we've been trampled on over the last 2 years. And people go, well, how are you being trampled? You have a choice. No, saying either do this or this is the price you pay isn't choice.
Coercion.
Right? Do you want a Coke or would you like water? Which one do you want? That's a choice.
Right.
Get the medication or lose your job. That's not a choice. That's coercion. I think that what we're going to see over the next year in particular is if we don't have elections, and I know it sounds conspiratorial, right? But what Trudeau just did showed us how serious these people are about where they want to take the world, not just the country, the world, and what they're willing to do. And they are willing to trample indigenous handicapped people with horses to do that if that's what it takes. They will suspend your rights, take away your rights to get their way. My rights are concrete. They're solid, just like the Constitution is.
Inalienable, right?
Unalienable.
Right.
You cannot take them away from me. You cannot suspend my rights. My rights are mine. That's why there's going to be a problem in D.C. with this convoy.
And you didn't give them to me. You didn't give me these rights. And Savvy, there's a girl on TikTok named Savvy. And she said it better than anybody I love her to death. She said that inalienable rights doesn't mean it's something that is given to you at a certain age. It's something that you have at birth. And I have those rights at birth. And she said that our Constitution is different than a lot of countries. Our Constitution tells the government what they can't do. What they cannot do. It's not what we can do. It's what the government cannot do to us. And we got to, that's why I'm anti-government. I don't trust government. I believe that the power should be, I believe in minimal government. I don't say that we shouldn't have no government, but I believe that the power should rest with the people and the government works for us. No other way around. We don't work for the government. The government works for us. But I think, even though, like I said earlier about us having to punch people in the face and things of that nature, I don't want it to get there, But I also want us to be a people who are not afraid to lock and load when that time comes up and show that we don't need the military to be a strong country. First of all, there's enough guns in this country. If they fought on this land, if there was a country who was tough enough to come over here and fight on this land, they would have a problem because our houses are locked and loaded. All them other houses aren't. And I think it's time that people take their shotguns out and torches or whatever and march down to the street and say, listen, we're going to defend this land as patriots. And I'd like to ask all these race baiters, are you a fucking patriot? Let's fuck all the race shit. Are you a patriot? Do you love your country? There's nothing wrong with saying you love your country, and people forgot about that. And our generation, Gen X, we grew up still saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. We grew up still having that love. Remember when I still have that gusto? Like, I love being a fucking American. I show no allegiance to Africa. I show no allegiance to any other country. I'm a fucking American. Not saying that nothing wrong with Africans or nothing, but I'm not fucking African. I'm a fucking American. And that's why I don't like the shit that's going on now, the separations, because my ancestors, I come from white abolitionists. I come from black people who fought for integration. So it's like I'm slapping them in the face when I even make up the idea to separate. CRT can suck my dick. I don't care about that shit. I don't want to hear none of that shit.
The only families, the only families that at least in my opinion and what I've seen is the only families that are really racist, right, are those who don't have any other races in their family. The white or black or Hispanic or Asian or whatever they are, that's all they know. My family, we got everybody. Everybody's in my family. Right. So you can't, it's tough. It's tough to be a racist or xenophobe or whatever you want to call it against a specific group. And then you go to the family reunion
and everybody's there.
There's there. Right. Here's the thing. And this is what this
cornhole and spades. Cornhole and spades. You come to our cookout, you're going to see cornhole, spades, and salsa music.
Yep. And you know, the analogy that I use all the time is if the five of us went to dinner, most likely we're not going to all order the exact same thing. Right. And our ideologies are aligned, but I can guarantee if we got into the weeds, there are things that you're going to go, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Mm-hmm. The difference is that we can disagree on those issues. Right. And do debate on those issues and then go to a cookout.
Yeah.
I don't think you're evil because of it. I may think you're stupid. I may think you're dumb. You may think I'm dumb, right? I'm stupid. Okay. That's your opinion. It's like opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. People have started.
Mine is just cleaner than yours. That's all.
And you know what's crazy about that? You said that, Cramer, right? Disagreements amongst men happen. Me and Marlon disagreed on shit 2 good times, arguing on podcasts, but it never stopped us from being friends. It just means we disagree. Huh?
Right. Nothing.
I mean, but that's the thing. It's the same. It's the same shit. Like, I've been beat up by my friends before, but we still remain friends. But I know that he will fight anybody. But that's the kind of friends I want, that we can shake hands and still be friends. You know.
And I think true friendships, and this is one of the things that social media doesn't allow you to really build is true friendships, right? People, today's generation, so much of it is online and so much of it is based on followers and views and all this other bullshit that we didn't have to deal with, right? So everything that they put importance on doesn't have anything to do with the with a person's character. Right. The most important thing about you, the values in our society today don't have it, on the actions you take. It's what group you're part of or what you've done. And then when you do take action and they don't like it. I mean, look at what's his name? The football player, the quarterback that got COVID and did the Joe Rogan pack instead of the vaccine.
Aaron
Rodgers, right? They were ready to throw that fucker underneath the bus because of this medical thing. It makes no sense to me. A
Nobel Prize winning medicine. A Nobel Prize winning medicine.
Right. And so here's where we are. And I think it's important for us especially as influencers, to be able to realize this. We are the next group of newscasters, personalities in this country. Right now, I may not be, you may not be, but we're that tip of the iceberg of starting that thing. People don't believe mainstream media because mainstream media has been bought off. If you saw what Pfizer did, right? The reason, by the way, this is everything that they've done is genius. I have to, from the standpoint of where I work and looking at what they've done over the last 2 years, fucking genius. I love how they push things through. I love the narratives that they created. I can appreciate it from what I do, right?
Yeah.
With that being said, is that the media has been bought off. They've been bought off for a long time. And that's not a conspiracy theory. I worked inside the industry. I know how it's done. You get a dictate that comes down and it says, you can't talk about this on air. Or if this subject comes up, you would treat it this way. That happens. Those directives happen. And we don't have that on top of us. We can talk freely. That's why Joe Rogan is such a threat to the power base, because he's talking about the things that you can't talk about. He's saying the names that you can't talk about, right? We've gone from the Charlotte deal where the guy ran the car in. We're going to end hate. The next test subject was the whistleblower in Donald Trump's White House, where we couldn't mention his name online. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Right, and it wasn't Vindman; it was the other dude. And I can't remember his name now. What was his name?
Mueller. It's about Mueller.
No, I know, but I remember that, but I can't remember the guy's name that was actually the whistleblower. Yeah,
but he's now in the Biden administration. But you couldn't mention his name, and it just continues to escalate. Well, our role as influencers is to call that out, is to say the king is wearing no clothes, and don't worry about what the ramifications are. Right. So I'm in a position to where I'm not independently wealthy, but I've done very well. And I don't care if clients fire me. My life is not going to change. My lifestyle is not going to change. So I can speak my mind freely. I just got fired a few months ago. I got fired by the Indiana caucus. We handled all the video and audio production and strategy, or not strategy so much, tactics, and everything that had to do with broadcast. We handled for the state house, Republicans at the Indiana State House, and some of the senators, and then did federal races. Been doing that for 12 years. In 2020, I go on to WIBC in Indianapolis and fill in on the afternoon show. And while I'm on air, I rant about the shutdowns, that the lockdowns are hurting businesses, that we've got to get off of it. And I go after Eric Holcomb and I say, he's got the power to stop it. It's not solving anything. And you're destroying people's lives. We go to break. Phone rings, cell phone rings, and it's a representative from the speaker's office. Cramer, you need to settle down talking about the mayor, or talking about Holcomb. Well, why? Well, because we just prefer that you settle down. Okay, well, what if I don't? Well, you have freedom of speech. You can say what you want, but there are ramifications. You will lose the business that you have with the State House. Now, for our company, that's about $500,000 a year, or not a year, but a cycle, right? So in an election cycle, we'd make about $500,000 from all the work that we did. And I said, well, that sounds like a threat, Marin. Well, that's not a threat. It's not a threat. I don't want you to see it as a threat. Okay. Well, I'm going to assume that I'm already fired, because you don't call and threaten that if you're not going to do it at some point in the future. Anyway.
Right. It's already a plan.
Anyway, right.
So the thing that they do, I'm one of those guys, and you guys are the same way, and all of us are, right? All of us loudmouths are, is that when somebody says you can't say that, you just say
I'm
it
definitely
louder.
going to say it now.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Right?
Oh,
So
I can't. Okay.
You made me more dangerous by making me your enemy, right? You should have brought me into the fold, but you made me your enemy. I would have never gone on the tangent that I've gone if they hadn't done that.
Yeah.
I would have never gone after them directly if they hadn't done that. Donald Trump says it. The Clintons created Trump.
Right.
They created the need for a Trump, whether it was him or somebody else. So what they've done is, and Snacks, to your point, until Donald Trump came into the picture, you weren't political at all, right? A lot of us weren't. What did he do? He fired a bunch of people up because now we see the bullshit for what it is.
Right. And I love that we elected a non-politician to be the president president. And you know what felt good? To have a billionaire on the conservative side. You know, to have a billionaire who's unapologetic. That's what I love about Trump. That's how I am. See, I'm unapologetic for this reason. It might sound corny to somebody who's not God-fearing, but I do not want to be in front of my Lord and feel like I didn't do enough, or I didn't say enough, or I seen an evil and I ignored it. You know, that scares me, that God would be like, why didn't you say something against this? Why didn't you do something against this?
Well, you see, what it was you see, now, you remember that one time, see what happened was.
See what happened was, yeah, right.
You feel me?
Right, right. See, you know, G, I'm going to call you G. You know what I'm saying?
He's the original OG.
TikTok page. I was trying to tone it down a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know that the F word was going to make the LGBTQ mad. Sorry.
He did. Man. That's why he did it. But I have a show at 5 that I need to prep for. 5 my time. I know it's way past 5 for some of you because you're old people, and I'm on the. I think I'm the only
age as me.
I think I'm the only one on the West Coast, right? Are you in California, Cramer?
Indiana.
No, then everyone else is on.
Does everybody have my phone number? Because I'm quitting my job and I'm going to do social media for life.
Ain't nobody care about your phone number, bro.
Okay.
Nobody wants your digits. Nobody wants your digits.
It's cool. It's cool. You got my digits.
But
Bravo Kitch and Jay Lee and Cramer, I got to leave you. Huh?
Yeah, somebody wanted Cramer's contact info. I think it was Olaf in the chat here. They wanted your email to reach out to you.
Syndication at Cramersez.com. Cramersez is Cramersez, like it is here in the little flag. I don't know if there we go. I'll get it. Oh,
just like one of your accounts. One of your accounts on TikTok was Cramersez.
Yeah, the original one.
Can you
I remember.
type it in the private chat there for me?
Sure. Let me
type it there, and I'll copy it and put it in the main chat.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
That'd be the easiest way.
So Cramersez, syndication at Cramersez.com is a great one. That's I see all of those emails. You can also follow our team and what we're doing at Cramersez.com. We're revamping that. In fact, one of the things that we're looking for, and I think this is what it's going to be a game changer, is that we're looking for either out of work journalists, citizen journalists that have content, have media that they're creating, that they need an outlet for. What we found is, and you guys realize this, right? Breaking through the clutter is really hard. And it goes back to what I said earlier about, once you do it, you have a responsibility to help others, to pull others up with you. So we think that there's an opportunity to start being the journalist, both locally and a local basis and on a state basis. The national thing, I'm not so much worried about. That'll take care of itself. But local information, being able to get it out, because that's where everything starts, right? If you find out that your congressman's having an affair and you're trying to get it onto the national stuff, no, give it to us. We'll get that out. And that's where we see that WikiLeaks and what WikiLeaks was doing is so we need that on a news level. Right. When these stories are breaking, we need to be able to bypass. If you've got information on Hunter Biden, right? If you've got information on anybody, we want that. We'll help get it out. And that's what these new channels are supposed to do. That's what makes what we're doing dangerous. That's why they want to shut us down, because, once we coalesce, and so I told our team, I says, once we know what our full idea has been hammered out of what it is, it's going to be dangerous. And so that's what Cramersez is about. I don't know if it'll be Cramersez forever. It may be, I don't know. But we're bringing together creators who feel that they've been silenced in other areas, and they're out there trying to do their thing by themselves, and they just can't catch traction. Well, like this podcast here, we'll gladly put it up on Cramersez and be on the front page of the website. When people land there, it's there, right? Make it a resource for conservative ideas and conservative talk that you're not getting on these platforms. When you've got a video that gets taken down, let us see it. Now, we may not put it out because it may not meet our criteria of what we're doing, right? I mean, but if it's political in nature and it's talking about what's going on, I know that I put a video together talking about Democrats and the history of what they've done with the KKK and Jim Crow laws, that they're the ones that did it. They're still hiding behind it. They've never apologized for it. That was taken down as hate speech. That is not hate speech. That is American history. And it shows the difference. It's a contrast ad that showcases this is what we believe in. I may not like what you have to say. but I'm not going to cancel you. In fact, I'll fight for your right to be able to say it right to my face.
Say it. Right.
And so that's what our push is in Cramersez, and what we're doing next is to become a news outlet of that type of information. So if you've got information that you want to get spread, send it to Cramersez, a syndication at Cramersez.com. And we're going to have more outlets available soon. Our content is available currently on all the big ones, except for Facebook. So we're on Instagram, Twitter, Getter, Truth. I'm number 4,000 on Truth. It hasn't popped up for me yet, so I don't know how long it's taken them to get to number 4,000.
I'm trying to. They don't make that for Android yet, man.
No.
Yeah, it's coming out. I'm at 100.
I think it's the end of March, right?
I'm at 130K.
30K. Okay.
Get in.
Yeah.
God damn, what are they doing?
Well, here's what I did here. They're validating everyone that comes through that it's a real human. So it's kind of like my understanding is it can't be a bot. They're not going to allow bots on that platform.
That's good.
That's dynamics altogether.
I'm on it.
Wise, very wise.
We've waited for how long? I can wait another 2 weeks if I have to. 3 weeks. I don't care.
I'm gonna take a picture of my nipple, show them that I'm not a robot. Take a picture of my nipple, show that I'm not a robot. Snacksnipples.com. That's gonna be the name of it.
Nipples. Call them
Chocolatenipples.com.
Snipples.
Man, I want to
Snipple.
see your damn nipple.
Yeah, nipple wax.
Those are the outlets that we're on currently. Our initiative, our mission is really simple. Our mission is to give back Americans, regardless of who they are, what groups they're with, their voice back.
Their voice.
We have a number of backers that we're working with that are financially helping support what we're doing. That makes it it makes it a lot easier. But we have to, and I'll close with this. Before we can get 2019, our 2019 freedoms back, we've got to get really comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Ooh.
Because until we do that, it's not going to happen.
Facts.
Very true.
Bro, kids, that sounds like one of your videos. We gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's the kind of stuff you be having on your videos, man. I got 612 banned videos. So I'm ready.
While we were online.
Holy shit, they hit you up, didn't they?
Bitches.
You got banned?
Well, it's close. That one's gonna be gone by the end of the week. I know it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. At least you get that. I don't even get that anymore.
Well, I had to go check it. They don't tell me that I get no more alerts. I just rummaged through my videos and noticed that was a community guideline yesterday, and it wasn't today, and all of a sudden it is now. I don't get alerts anymore that it was. Until I can't post. Until I can't post, I'm like, why can't I post? And they're like, oh, you have a guideline violation. I'm like, I didn't even know. Some of them, like the last account, they went back to my first 18 videos and got every last one of them.
I didn't get
a single verification that any of that took place until my account was gone one day, and I was like, "What?" I'm browsing, and it just shut down. I was gone.
I made 12 new accounts on TikTok, and they said they're all permanently banned, and they never even made a video. I never even put it on there.
I lost 4 like that too. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm done with TikTok.
Yeah, well, TikTok, we're like I said, we're always going to have a presence, but our presence will be primarily for making notifications and announcements. When, for example, when Tusk, this browser that we're working with, when it goes live, we'll all relaunch and go up, and it doesn't matter, right? I mean, I figure that it's the time that it takes me 15 minutes to be up on TikTok. I can be up and running on TikTok in 15 minutes, have everything ready, branded, ready to go. We see it because of its organic growth of being able to spread a message very quickly. One of the things, now this is the thing that I will tell everybody, if you go to Telegram, and anybody who, you guys should do the same thing. Every video that I make is available on Telegram. Every video that we make is available on Telegram. Mm-hmm. Telegram allows you to download it and repost it anywhere you want to go. So if you want to take those videos, here's the thing. Cramer, going on TikTok will get banned immediately within 11 hours for putting my content up. But you can take my content and post it and probably won't get banned.
Yeah.
It may get a community guidelines violation, but you won't get banned.
I've seen your face and it doesn't get touched.
Well,
so you don't have to take the watermarks on Telegram off?
Well, there is
like
no
you can post it right to Telegram.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that. Because I'm on Clapper. I'm on Clapper, and
Clapper's trash.
Clapper is horrible. I'm out of there already.
Well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that we're doing with Telegram. Telegram has the ability to do lives.
Yeah.
So you can do video lives, you can do audio lives, and so we're really trying to harness the power of Telegram. The downside of Telegram is that you can only have 200,000 in a group, but for most people, that's not going to be a problem.
That's plenty, yeah.
Right. But you've got 200,000 followers in there that you can go live with and exchange information. The other thing that's really cool about Telegram's audio live is that it allows listeners to ask for permission to speak. So you can have a true debate.
It's like Zoom, right? but better.
Ooh. Well, I got Telegram, but I'm barely on there.
It's like Spaces. It's like Spaces on Twitter. That you can people can raise their hand to be a part of the conversation. So you could, like the five of us could decide that, hey, we're going to have a conversation, invite everybody in our groups to join on one subject. And we would be the not moderators. We would be the host and be able to come in and out as we want. But as people raise their hands and ask questions, they can become part of the conversation. It's more like a town hall type situation. I really like it. The other day, I did one on Telegram, and I only have, I think on Telegram, I think like maybe 1,400 followers, something like that. But there were over 4,000 people in this conversation we were having. And it wasn't mine, it was somebody else's. But it was because we all came together. And that's what I keep trying to tell some of these independent creators, that coalescing and coming together and making a hub where all of our information is, where it can't be censored, makes much more sense than trying to do it all individually.
Right.
And so we've gone into certain creators and said, okay, we think that you bring value long-term to what we're doing. Here's what we'd be interested in doing. And our approach is very simple. It's free speech. If it's not illegal, it can be on the platform. I don't care. I don't have to agree with you. If you're a conspiracy theorist and you think that Castro is Trudeau's dad, you may be right. I don't know. Let's talk
That's
about
a hell of a conspiracy, though.
No,
that conspiracy got a lot of validity to it, though.
No, it's not. It's not. That. It ain't conspiracy no more, bro.
You think it's true?
Make a look at the dude's face, man. Come on, bro.
Yep. He's pretty close.
That guy looks nothing like his dad, and his dad was ugly.
Yeah. Right. He looks a lot like and Castro's mom.
You can put them face to face. It's the same man, bro.
Yep.
8.5 months after.
No. And that's
no,
and that's where your dates are off. They met in 70.
What? They met in 70.
The mom and Castro met in 70.
No, I'm talking about 8 months before his birth. That she was over there with Castro.
Yeah, she was
a full year.
A full year.
A full year before Justin was born, she was over there.
Oh shit.
Yeah, she met him a full year before Justin showed up.
Have you seen, not to go off on a tangent, but have you seen interviews with his mom?
Yes, she's a weirdo, dude.
She's fucking
insane.
A weirdo.
She is.
I got to go down that rabbit hole because I've been going down this conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
Did you miss that one? Did you miss that one on Too Strong? We did that one.
I didn't see. I've been working so much. I didn't think Too Strong.
2 weeks ago. But I left a video in the chat for you there, Cramer. If you can grab that, I left a video. I want to see if you can put that up on your platform. That got blocked on TikTok for hate speech. Twice.
Oh my god.
Okay. Yep.
And
this is is this the make this go viral? Share?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put that up.
Yeah.
I'll put that up.
That one is that one needs to get out. I
need you to put up that. White privilege is a fucking myth. I went off on that and they banned it.
But it is a myth. I mean, it's not.
It is a myth.
It's real.
I know.
He's in the middle. That's white privilege.
Yeah, he's in the middle, and he's surrounded. He's surrounded by all sorts of privilege. All right.
But we have to do this again.
Yes.
Yes.
I will figure that out, and once we do that, we'll let people know in advance. You can advertise for it because that people will have more interaction with the crowd. But I do want to thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Cramer, for saying okay.
Absolutely.
I have your number now too, so I'll hit you up. Next Wednesday, we good?
Absolutely.
Same bad time.
I'm gonna take off on Wednesdays. I'm not gonna take off on Wednesdays. I'm not gonna go fishing tonight.
All right,
So
perfect.
If y'all want to move the time up, it's up to y'all.
Hey, Marlon. So same time next Wednesday, or do we go back to our original time?
Go back to the original time since this clown. Yeah, original time.
Hey,
No,
by the way, guys,
I'll just take off on Wednesdays. I can do it whatever time y'all want.
Okay.
I put my number there in the private chat.
Awesome. Okay, I look for it. And so what did we say? That was what was that 1:30?
Yeah.
1:30
But
Eastern.
what time Eastern? 1:30 Eastern?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
That way we don't have to have a time crunch, and I don't have to dip out. That'd be much better.
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank Cramer though, man. Cramer and I we talked for how long? 2 hours the other day.
2 hours. Yeah.
It was over 2 hours, and him and I were
Yeah.
just going back and forth, and he taught me a lot. You know, you can always learn from another man. You know.
Yep.
Same
here.
So I was just like, "Hey, man, you want to come on the podcast?" He was like, "Yeah."
Hell
I'm like, "All right," and that's when I, put it out to Marlon. But thank you for coming on, man. It really means a lot.
real.
That was a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun. A lot of fun.
So y'all have a good rest
nice
of the
to
day. We'll catch up again on a different day next Wednesday at 1:30 Eastern here on what you call this again? What do you call it?
Four
Horsemen of Truth.
Punch these governmental bullies in the face, y'all.
Kaplow. Y'all have a good one. Later.